Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to another preseason episode of the FPL Wire, where we discuss player watch lists, how we feel about certain teams, things we've learned in preseason, and where we are with our current drafts. I'm your host, Zofar, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Late Riser and Pras. How many times have you tinkered today, LR?
Just once, just the once.
At work?
No, at lunch. At lunch because
I
I
know
had
what
to send
Zoff
you the
is
draft.
thinking right now, and
What?
sorry, go on.
Zoff has to throw in a joke early to just settle the nerves, tell people, listen, this is
Exactly.
easy. This is actually a very informative podcast as well because we have a lot of new listeners actually tuning in at this time. So
Yeah,
we
let's
do a
be
good
serious,
mix of
guys.
humor as well as just giving you a deep dive into what the FPL world looks like. But yeah, man, the draft or the brain is actually right now marinating in two separate spice blends at the moment. Most of the spices used for both of them are pretty similar, but just like 3 or 4 spice blends are different between the two. I guess close to game week 1, we'll see which one tastes better and go for it.
What about you, Pras? Have we finally gotten into it now? I think around when we potted last, you were still getting the feel of things somewhat, but now you've done your chip strategy video. Now you must be fully.
Exactly, fully. Now I'm fully into it. Players, prices, preseason, I feel now fully into it. In terms of where I am, I'm cycling between strategies even, not even like drafts, because within the drafts, I'm like not too worried about players, right? I mean, somebody emerges and then everything changes anyway. So I'm a bit lazy like that, where if I start making it perfect now and then somebody cheaper comes out and, what everything moves anyway. So I'm still cycling between wildcard 4, wildcard 6, Haaland, no Haaland draft. And so I'm not tinkering as much as just thinking about as usual fixtures.
By the way, for anybody that's starting to think about FPL or tinker right now, I think the best place to start is Pras's absolutely fabulous chip strategy video. It's just a good place to start in terms of how you should be thinking about the season. So if you haven't already checked it out, make sure you do.
Have you got a definitive path in mind, Pras? I think in the video you're looking primarily at BB1, BB2. I think you're more fixated on one now.
I think BB1 also is the more things are coming out in terms of options, the more I'm seeing BB1 get better in my head. I mean, for example, Brighton, Pascal Gross, guy takes a penalty, gets an assist, and suddenly you're like 5.5 million. He can be in the bench boost. Like Brighton have a decent enough run. Then when I think about Leeds, yesterday DCL scores a brace. And look, players do well in preseason and then really do badly as well. But it's a bit like they remind you, right? And I do think form helps with minutes. So when Leeds do well, I also again think, okay, they have got a good fixture. And actually, more importantly, the more Leeds and Brighton in particular do better, the more I'm thinking I can actually stretch out the wild card. And that's what then brings me to the team structure and so on and so forth, which we will talk about. So more and more with Brighton, Leeds looking better. I just want to see Forest also do better because that's another team which helps with the later wildcard. And later I say game week 6, and historically we've done 8, 12. Last season I was hell bent on game week 12. This season late means 6 or 7. Early means 2, 3 or 4.
What about you, LR?
I'm actually not fixated, and I think process strategy in terms of not letting us mind be too wedded to a certain draft or certain players right now is quite important. I mean, last season I am doing a team selection video tomorrow where I'm actually showcasing a Palmer draft. But when we're talking about the draft today, I'm showcasing what it looks like without Palmer. And it's very nice and important to have like an open mind. Last year I probably would have been fixated to, no, I want Palmer and not looked at other alternatives. So at the moment, just keeping an open mind and absorbing as much info as we can.
So speaking of information, we were having a debate on the Discord, I think it was yesterday or day before, about how much preseason matters. One of our Discorders says preseason results don't matter at all and preseason form doesn't matter at all. And I think you can look at it both ways. I remember 2 seasons, I picked Michu based on preseason form. I picked Mahrez based on preseason form. Both these guys got braces in the game week 1. I also picked Boselli based on preseason form. Not so good. Picked Nkunku based on preseason form. Not so good. So what? Just to tell our viewers, what do you look for in preseason, Press? In terms of, do you look for minutes? Do you look for formations? What are the general trends and takeaways we can take?
First, last season, let's not forget, Watkins scored in 5 preseason games. He was in all our teams. Am I correct?
Yes, all
Yeah.
all three of us.
So that is the most recent example, which is where you can get burnt with preseason form. Look, I think I agree. Results don't matter. I agree. I think pretty much form matters less. Like if Palmer hasn't scored a single goal, doesn't matter. But if he's looking sharp, but I do think preseason matters on certain things. So, firstly, Community Shield against Arsenal, Foden scores a brace. People will say, "Oh, you're jumping on Foden because he scored a brace." No, you are jumping on him because he's now a couple of goals means that Maresca is going to see him as somebody who's important for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. It helps his minutes, is why you would pick him. Because if he has a stinker and he's hooked on the 55th minute, again, it works both ways. You can then say, okay, this guy's an early sub issue. It's going to be a problem. So I think these are the things that you see. Set pieces matter on preseason. People are talking about Wirtz and Szoboszlai. We'll talk about them. If one of them takes set pieces over completely, whether it's Wirtz or Szoboszlai, I don't care if Szoboszlai is on pens. I think Wirtz is then the better pick. So these are the couple of nuggets. And this season, more than any other season, watching preseason matters, man. Like we have no idea. Is your friend at Chelsea playing 4 at the back, 5 at the back? Are we playing 2 strikers? So I think minutes, and I also don't ignore people scoring because it helps with minutes.
Talar?
And shape. Like knowing who's actually playing where. We don't know what is up with a lot of these managers and the formations they're planning to use, etc. as well. I mean, yesterday we found out that Wirtz is 10, Szoboszlai is playing the deeper midfielder. How might that affect output, etc.? Szoboszlai is still in corners, so that was still fine. How the shape looks off the ball when they're in possession and settled as well. All of these things matter. So, and there's lots to gain information now, still in the 2 weeks period after that. I mean, Bruno, Dalot, Cunha, and Masraoui just made their way to the United training ground today. And, in the next or final set of preseason friendlies, we'll actually get an idea of. You're almost always thinking that the last preseason game, managers try to mimic close to what they want to use in Game Week 1 as well. So shape and minutes is what I'm looking at.
Yep.
Not so much form.
Yep, I'm so big on shape as well. Like the recent friendly with Chelsea played against Tottenham, Palmer was pretty much playing in the front too, alongside Joao Pedro when Chelsea weren't in possession. Of course, he didn't get any touches really in terms of shots, but then the positions are just to the left or right of Pedro, far more advanced than we've seen. Things like that. There is information. Then we're, of course, sharing all these preseason notes from all these matches. You can keep track in our Discord channel. So you guys are all very well informed of what's happening there. Should we jump
One
in?
other thing I will add.
What?
I'll add one more thing. This is modern FPL. This is 2026-27. I'm not as worried about DEFCONs in preseason. Like some people are saying, oh, this guy's not a DEFCON monster because or some games he got 15 DEFCON by halftime. Intensity is in there in the games. The transition is in there. You can look for clues, but I wouldn't get fixated at this guy only got 6 DEFCONs in that match, so he's not a DEFCON monster. That kind of stuff I will not look out for.
And also sharpness plays a part, right? For example, we saw Rodgers and Watkins. They had very limited preseason last year. They started right away, even despite that, but they weren't up to full sharpness. So I think obviously players who are getting a lot of preseason minutes should also be higher on our radar than those who are not.
For us, actually, is Palmer in your draft? He should be in your draft. Or at least he should be on the watch list.
Palmer is 99% not in my draft.
I'm not talking about the 9.5 million one. I'm talking about the 4.0 million one.
Okay, you got me.
That was the bit of preseason information actually that I was talking about. That could be useful for you. Yesterday, Ipswich played 2 preseason friendlies. One was the stronger team and one was a non-stronger team. In the stronger team, they had a 4.0 million goalkeeper called Palmer, who plays Sunderland. So just a piece of information, something to monitor. At the moment I spoke to our friend FPL Roycer, who's an Ipswich Town fan, just before I came on as well. They bought 2 or 3 keepers at the moment, and the old keeper doesn't seem to be getting any minutes at the minute. So just to monitor, if he continues with the first choice team, you could have a 4.0 keeper in your hand for the bench boost one.
They bought Sherpin, who's expected to be number 1, but will he necessarily start game week 1? TBD.
Yeah, exactly. Just want to keep an eye on.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Cool. Let's get started. First up with our sponsors, our hub plug first.
This is actually a really, really cool feature. I mean, I keep taking screenshots on the FPL website, and then I want to see what it looks like from a planning perspective and what the AI thinks of my team, etc. as well. So you can actually do the same as well, where you can take your FPL team screenshot, download the Fantasy Football Hub app, which is actually really, really cool, really, really soft, really, really smooth. You can upload the screenshot, and then the FPL team rates your team for the first game week, second game week, third game week as well. And it's got a nice slider ticker as well. So you can see the future game weeks just by sliding. So I recommend you scan the QR code and become a member. And you can even just rate your team for free by the AI tool.
Yep. And Saley is back. For those of you guys who didn't hear last season, Saley is an eSIM app from the creators of NordVPN that gives you instant mobile data in 200 plus countries. So instead of buying a physical SIM card or paying insane roaming fees, you just download the app, choose a data plan for your destination, and install the SIM card before you travel. Then when you land, your phone connects to the local network automatically. It's extremely simple to use. You install the eSIM once and you can keep using it for future trips. They've also got regional and global plans, which is great if you're traveling through multiple countries. And there's some nice extras too. Things like built-in ad blocking that saves data, security features for safer browsing, and with the Saley Ultra plan, you even get travel perks like airport lounge access and priority support. Plus, you actually earn credits back on purchases, so your next data plan can be cheaper, sometimes even free. So if you're traveling anytime soon or even planning a trip later this year, this is one of those things that's just good to set up ahead of time. Download the Saley app and use our code FPL Wire at checkout to get 15% off your eSIM plan. That's SAILY.com/FPL Wire or Saley in the App Store and use our code FPL Wire for 15% off. I'm going to be using it later this month.
Where are you off to?
Thailand again, just 1 week before, the weekend before. And I've also got another trip booked for the international break after Game Week 5 when we have those 2 weekends off.
Are you missing the deadline? Like, will you be there for the deadline?
Yeah, I planned it the weekend before and the weekend right after Game Week 5. So the weekend before Game Week 1 and the weekend after Game Week 5. We plan on this podcast, Pras.
Of course we do.
And your favorite section now, Pras.
So I just remembered. So I've just brought the script up. So Nord is back. We got so many DMs from people that you guys haven't talked about any shows this season. Those of you who are new, just stick with us because this section is one of the fan favorites in terms of because we'll talk about the things we're watching and recommend some stuff. So before we do that, as you know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region and get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services. And if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content as well. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan comes with 4 additional bonus months on top. You can access it using the link nordvpn.com/FPL Wire. It's going to be in the comment section as well. So what are we watching, guys? I mean, it's a long list, so maybe we go with like top three in the summer. Zoff.
A few shows. The one I enjoyed the most was Tom Hanks' World War II documentary. There's 20 episodes. I'm a massive World War II nerd. I could watch unlimited amount. It's a bit graphic at times, a bit disturbing, but I think it's a part of human history that you need to watch really to like understand what like humans are capable of. Very, very eye-opening and something that that stays with you for a long time. Something lighter, Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed. I really like. Currently, I'm also watching Westies. That's about 5 episodes in. How about you guys?
So amongst the serious stuff, I've been watching the show called The Agency. It's got Michael Fassbender.
Yes.
It's a really cool, spy thriller, CIA-based drama, and it's really, really dark, well made, very well paced as well. Some fabulous performances as well. So I highly recommend that one if you're looking for something serious. And something more slice of life, light-paced, just a good show. I've been watching Shrinking, which is on Apple TV. It's a slightly old show, but really, really enjoying it. It's got humor as well as a lot of nice meaning in there as well. So I recommend that one.
What about you, Pras?
So a couple of Apple shows. Obviously, Silo season 3. I haven't watched the latest episodes. Are won't discuss the theme itself, but yeah, looks good. It's deviated from the book, so those of you who've read the book are watching the show, you'll appreciate the slight tangents the show has started to take. Widow's Bay on Apple as well is quite good, and what else? I can't really think of any other. There was this
Many are rating Widow's Bay as one of the shows of the season.
I watched 3 episodes. It's a bit too many jump scares there for me. I like the whole Lost and maybe to an extent From thing, but the whole ghost thing and all gets a bit too spooky for me.
I've heard season 4 is the game-changing episode. I remember when Baker watched it and he told us
episode 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so stick it out then, Zoff. No, it's good. I've heard great things. I haven't reached 4 myself. I've only watched the first 2. So, but we're getting there slowly. And there was this other show from the Duffer Brothers who did Stranger Things. It was on Netflix. I forget what it
I know
was.
with Alfred Molina. I forgot the name which
Yeah,
you're talking about.
there's this older community and whatever. That one was also.
Was it like the Goonies or something like that?
No. But anyway, those
The chat
were
will
the
tell
3
us.
that I can remember. And Ted Lasso is starting as Sushant says in the chat. It's coming I think 5th of August, so a couple of days. This time he's managing the women's team, which is a nice sort of offshoot of the season they did earlier.
Interesting.
Right. So back to Nord, it also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection system. It deletes any attack and it highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So as I said, there'll be a link in the description if you want to check it out.
Right, guys, let's get started. Now, I think let's kick off. I think let's start looking at the watch list first. So I made a watch list position by position. And I think as we go about it, I think these are all the players that have been consideration in most of our drafts. If I missed any of them, you guys in the chat and you two can obviously point that out. And I think as we get to certain players, we can also discuss how their teams are faring in preseason and how our thoughts have evolved from our last spot. Let's start with goalkeepers plus, your favorite position.
It's not favorite because you just pick Ryan, not worry about anything. But now we have to worry.
You have other favorite
because
positions.
We have to pick 2. I'm going to ignore that. And you have to pick 2. And the list is not too big, right? Especially if you want to go like 4.5, 5 million. Like nobody's picking 5.5, 6 million. If you have to pull a bench boost as well. So I think most people are looking at Lemons. They're looking at Kinski, Verbruggen. These are the 3 that I have seen in a lot of drafts. I tried to also think maybe I can get a Sanchez, but there's no guarantee with the Chelsea keeper situation, right?
Nope. Apparently, we are in for Diogo Costa also today.
Okay, so that just completely kills Sanchez.
And I think eventually Penders will become number 1 if not.
I just want from Sanchez game week 1 for the bench boost and game week 4 when Lamens will play Man City. He has Hull at home.
But
so
then game week 2, doesn't he have a good fixture in game week? I guess you don't want to play him against Brighton. Fair enough.
Yeah. So that was the thing. It works well. But I have in my draft looked at Kinski and Verbruggen as a combo. I've looked at Lemens and Verbruggen, even Lemens and Kinski. I think any of those two of those 3 work well early season.
Ella, where are you on keepers?
Actually, I just want to ask the Arsenal question first because I've been rotating in my head in terms of how I view them and how I perceive them at the start of the season. Obviously, there's a great fixture game week 1 against Coventry at home, but what do you guys think about the impact of Saliba? What do you guys think about the impact of Rice and Saka coming in really late? Probably Bruno Guimaraes coming in really late. Are we going to see the same Arsenal? Yes, they're still going to be the best defense in the league. But Zoff, you and I were talking about it. Most people are not getting Gabriel. So you're probably taking on a Calafiori or a Mosquera who aren't necessarily set-piece monsters or as scary to bet against compared to Gabriel. And they do have Aston Villa and Chelsea in game week 2 and 3. Even game week 4 is a tough away tie against Brighton as well. Is this a place where you can take the Arsenal defense on? I earlier thought yes, but I still think Coventry, Aston Villa, without Rodgers, might be somebody you can take on as well. And even Brighton is not the worst fixture. And philosophically, they will still be the same team. How much do we adjust to the lack of Saliba and maybe Rice and Saka joining late?
I think it's, as a style and system, Arsenal are not going to change, right? And of course, Mosquera doesn't have the same set piece setup for Gabriel. But remember when we had Kiwior a couple of seasons ago, he got a couple of goals as well. So just because of how much they rely on set pieces, I think their centre backs can always score goals. I think they'll also always get DEFCON, and because they never score that many goals, they're going to be in the conversation for bonus points. Okay, so
they don't always get DEFCON. Even Gabriel was 35%ish, 40%ish DEFCON.
I guess again, not always, of course, but then look at the tougher fixtures. They're more likely to get DEFCON in those versus in Coventry, right? So in that sense, it might balance it out. And I think it's a small risk you're taking in the sense that 5.5 is not much to play. And look at the other alternatives. Who else am I getting at that price? Maybe a City defender?
No, it's about, I think the only comparable ones I think are who might be worth their money at that price or more are City defenders like Guardiola and Nico Rally, and maybe Virgil van Dijk, right? Like these are the
And
premium
those
good
guys are 1
defenders that
million
were.
more than, like, let's say a
Yeah,
Mosquera or like
yeah. These are the
whoever,
defenders. I mean, Calafiori
Calafiori.
still maybe entices me because he's got really good attacking impetus. He's capable of scoring a goal in open play as well as on set pieces as well. So that's something, but just generally, right? Because the fixtures also, like except for Coventry at home, they're not banker clean sheet fixtures, and everybody's looking at a short wildcard window, right? We're looking at first 4 or 5, and 3 of those fixtures read Villa, Chelsea, and Brighton away. So I was wondering about this.
But man, they kept PSG out for 120 minutes from open play. Like the best attack in the world. Like this is not weird. This is a different planet. Like Mosquera is better than Guardiola. If Mosquera plays all the 5 games, I don't care what Guardiola's fixtures are. I mean, I'm just saying Arsenal's defense is just very too good. And yes, there's a small impact from no Saliba, but fixtures are irrelevant.
I don't think it's a small impact because I feel like I always think of Saliba as the one who saves everybody in that defense because his actually pace is unreal. His Gabriel isn't as fast as Saliba when he's sprinting at the back, but the systematically
He's good, no doubt.
Yeah,
It's a system.
but you're right.
It's a mindset.
Arsenal don't take that many risks. They play low risk football, which is why they, virtue of which they keep clean sheets. But you're not worried about the threat of a Gabriel. The only reason I think this comes into play is, let's say, if you're trying to shoehorn an extra big hitter into your attack, which means you're trying to, let's say, go slightly cheaper on defense, maybe buy cheaper set piece / DEFCON players like, Vuskovic or the Leeds guy that we're talking about, or, these kind of guys. So that's just something to think about for people who want to maybe cheapen out in defense. I don't think because the fixtures aren't the best except for game week 1.
I agree. It's not a no-brainer pick, but I think it's just good housekeeping.
Yeah, fair.
And again,
But in
that's what
terms
you
of
want to do early season, right? Early season, you just don't want to fall too far behind. And most people are going with at least one defender.
Yeah. But I won't be surprised if closer to date, if there's a certain batch of bench boost 2 FPL players, a few of them might take on an Arsenal defender, I reckon.
So this is what I think, right? The problem is right now we don't know a 4.5 to 5 million defender that will guarantee 60% DEFCON, right? We don't know that information yet. We're trying to guess. Some are appearing, but their minutes are questionable. Let's say we're in last season and Senesi is 4.5 million, and you want to say, okay, I want to go against Mosquera and get Senesi for $1 million cheaper and use that money somewhere else. I'm like, cool, do that. But this season, even at 5.5, who are you competing with, Mosquera or even Calafiori? I know Calafiori is a slightly different category because he has his own attacking threat. Let's assume Mosquera has no DEFCON, no attacking threat, just clean sheet potential. Even comparing that to anybody else in that price bracket, you have to. I'm just not seeing anybody who can counter him where you can. That saving is worth it. In the end, somebody will, and we don't know that yet. But I don't see it yet. We'll talk about some of the DEFCON guys, but I know you're asking this in the context of Raya. In Raya's context,
I'm asking this in the context of Arsenal because I just think it's a conversation worth having. That's all.
Yeah. No, I think I still think I'll get 2, man. Like if you tell me 5 of them will, these 4 will start for the first 5 fixtures, and if I'm wildcarding in game week 6, I will get 2 out of them. I'll get Calafiori and Mosquera. But the problem with all of them is minutes is not so known after game week 2, 3.
Yeah, I was of the same opinion as you. Now I've come to that opinion. Earlier I was like, no, maybe you can take them on. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more I think like, no, they're just very, very safe. They don't take risks. In fact, they know that they have these players missing. So Arteta will actually dial down the risk even more to make sure he gets the victory. So that's where I am in terms of how I perceive Arsenal's clean sheet odds early on.
In terms of the pick, now let's look at Raya versus Mosquera. The difference, of course, is 0.5 million, and that's not hard to find. You can downgrade now Mosquera to your 5 million DEFCON guy, and then maybe see the goalkeeper. Most of us, let's say, have Lamens as a placeholder. You need to find another 1 million. You can work out a rotation in that sense, and Raya gives you a more robust pick. You're definitely getting minutes there.
It's just something you would probably want to do early on if you're playing a bench boost one, in my opinion, because the price gap is actually now that significant. It's not like how he was priced last year. That 0.5 million sort of adds up as well. He's a good pick early 4-5 weeks, but then later, if you want to start going for more and more big hitters in your team, I reckon we'll find the Arsenal centre backs to go for and ignore the Rayas. I reckon this is post wildcard.
Because I think if you're setting up in a rotation and you're not looking to bench boost in the first couple of weeks, it's easy to accommodate Rhea and a good defensive rotation alongside that. You play like a Guardiola and O'Reilly every week, and you can find 2 rotating DEFCON defenders, like 2 out of 4 every week. I posted rotation in the Discord also earlier. It's pretty effective. Like your, let's say, Manchester United guys, your Chelsea guys who have good fixtures in 2 and 4. Then you have the Brighton guys in 1 and 3. You can effectively manage that.
If you were going for one of Mosquera or Calafiori, which way are you guys leaning at the moment?
I have some trust issues regarding Calafiori's fitness. I think especially at fullback, rotation feels a bit more likely. And I think Hincapie is a very able left back replacement. But it is with centre backs, Arteta generally doesn't like to rotate. I know they're linked with Konsa, but I think he'll give Konsa some time to settle in rather than just throw him in, because he's not had any preseason yet. And like we asked our Arsenal fans in our Discord, they said this is what Mosquera was bought for. He's a good centre back. These are the times he has to cover. So you have to let him develop a partnership with Gabriel.
Similar. So there is this interplay that I'm watching because Timber's fitness also impacts Calafiori, in the sense that if it's Ben White playing on the right-hand side, then Ben White is already doing that thing that Arteta wants one of the fullbacks to do. And then Hincapie works better. I think I made this point last season as well across the end. So we'll see again against Man City in the Community Shield if he plays Calafiori and Ben White, and that works in a competitive game. But my feeling is if Timber is far away, then I think Mosquera is the better pick. And if Timber is far away, by the way, Ben White is also a fine pick. How much is he? 5.5 as well. So
yeah,
so that's at least my thinking at the moment. But if Timber is on the precipice of coming back, then neither White or Timber become a pick. Then Calafiori can be a decent option. But I am with Zoff as a conservative play, with Hincapie right there, fit. In the last game, people are looking at it, oh, Calafiori has started and got an assist. Hincapie also started. He just started in place of where Gabriel normally plays. So when Gabriel comes in, something will have to move, right? So we'll see, wait and watch. But I'm also more of, let's just get Mosquera if he looks safe.
At the moment, I'm leaning towards Calafiori if I'm going for one, because I know that it's a short window and there's not much European fixture rotation around that period. They're playing once a week, largely for the window that I'm looking to get the Arsenal defender for. And especially for a heavy in-possession game like Coventry at home, I expect Calafiori to be parked in the final third in attack.
Oh, for sure.
And maybe,
for sure.
Yeah. So that's the thinking. I'm trying to spike the haul in the early season. So that's where I am. Because I don't think there's much rotation and the minutes don't add up, etc. And he's having a full preseason too.
So for reference, Arsenal's clean sheet odds, this is just, I'm looking Rob T's numbers, 60% in game week 1, right? Clean sheet, by far the highest. Second is Man United, under 50%. Second, game week 2, they're at 34%, which is low because it's away to Villa, but that's also the third best of the week. Game week 3 is the lowest that they will ever have, which is 35%. That's just because they're playing home to Chelsea. Game week 4, they're the highest. Game week 5, they're the 4th highest. So essentially, it's a top 5. Regardless of fixtures, you're getting 35% plus clean sheet odds, which is, by the way, the same odds that Coventry have. No, all of them are higher than the odds of Coventry home to Hull, just as a reference point.
Yeah.
Every single fixture of Arsenal's.
You'd expect that.
Yep. So keepers, I mean, Lamens is as safe as they get. I think he's a good keeper.
But how good is your defense going to be now with big Casemiro gone? In general, I think, are we just looking at the first 2 fixtures? Because even keep in mind, this is Ipswich's first home game back. Is that a banker clean sheet? I like game week 2. Then you have game week 3, that's Everton. Game week 4, that's City. And most of us, I think, who are getting Lamens are looking to set up a rotation. With mostly Kinski, I think, covers most of those fixtures. But as a standalone keeper, is he worth spending that 0.5 million over Kinski or Verbruggen?
I'm not sure if he's worth spending over 0.5 over Kinski over Grubben, but the one thing in my head is Casemiro leaving doesn't make our defense worse, in my opinion. It probably makes our defense better. You saw in the World Cup, actually, that there wasn't enough legs in Brazil's midfield, and Carrick did a stupendous job to sort of hide that, in his 6 months at United as well. If you think about it, before Carrick came on, there were so many people saying that Casemiro is done, etc. Sell him off, the famous Jamie Carragher quote as well, etc. as well. So I'm not too worried about our defensive numbers because of Casemiro in specific, because Santos and Mount have been doing well in preseason midfield as well. So I'm not too worried. Actually, it might affect our set piece threat, not so much our defensive numbers.
Just where are you at United's defense?
I think it's just a play, man, of good fixtures. They're playing two
Fixtures,
promoted teams. I am quite pessimistic on our general defense, and actually the attack looked pretty good. But with attack, minutes are an issue. We'll come to that. But in defense, as of now, the other thing is with Lemons, right? Maguire's minutes are contingent on how quickly Martinez comes back. Now, Martinez is not going to come back very early, right? He's just won the World Cup, and no, sorry, he's not, but he's made the final, so he's tired. Then with Shaw,
Was that on purpose?
no. Come on, I like Martin. He's at least our player, right? Even though I hated his theatrics against England, but with Shaw, now we're in the market, and it's this the seriousness of Hall rumors are getting higher and higher. And if it's not Hall, then I also saw Robinson. So clearly there is a look for a left back. And in fact, the recent rumors are that they may even ditch the third midfielder signing and actually prioritize the left back. So then you're like, okay, if I go for Shaw, what's up? Like after game week 2, is he reliable or not? So he's the safest in terms of minutes. And then I guess maybe Maguire. Like, what do you think, Ella? Like in terms of defenders after Lemons, who's the safest in the defense?
Yeah, could be Maguire, but it's worth watching actually because Carrick in preseason has set up quite differently compared to how he did last season, where Euro's playing right back, and this is what he used to do at Middlesbrough as well, where he used to have the third wing back tucking in as a third centre back, which is what Euro is playing, which is why Shaw has been more attacking. Maybe that's where we're looking at Lewis Hall because he's trying to play that sort of a different system. There's going to be a learning curve with how United play in the first 5-6 weeks as well, because from preseason I get the sense that we're trying to implement a slightly more possession style base system compared to just the high transition system that we had last year as well. So it's just going to be a learning curve.
Sure. And up amongst the 4.5 keepers, do you guys have preference towards Kinski over Bruggen?
It's just memory, right? With De Zerbi's Brighton, where it used to be sort of basketball sort of games, and they used to concede a lot of chances, etc. as well. And just basis that, I think I prefer Bruggen because Brighton's numbers at the end of last season were really, really good, and not much turnover has happened in terms of players going and coming. Yes,
Just Van Heck.
They lost Van Heck, but I think Vuskovic is a able enough replacement, and I trust that team. It's more of a known quantity with Brighton, so I prefer Bruggen.
The fixtures is not much to split them, right, Pras? I think it's pretty close.
Pretty close, and I think the one thing to split them is a gentleman that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, which is Vuskovic. So if you don't want to double up on the defense, then Vuskovic, the new signing from Brighton, is another option where if you wanted to go for Brighton defender cover on your bench boost or whatever. So I'm actually struggling because I like the two midfielders from Brighton who are cheap. So then it's a question of which one out of Vuskovic or Bruggen do I get?
Vuskovic may not start though, Pras. Few Brighton fans I've spoken to, they also have Boskagli, who's quite capable. And he might rotate the guy alongside Dunk. And impressing in preseason. Of course, you could play them with Dunk, but because he's a new signing, I just want to be a little bit wary. Of course, we'll see the last preseason friendly. I'll give us some idea. And also with Brighton, the advantages, we'll see them play, I think, 3 days prior to game week 1.
Game week 1, exactly.
And they have their conference playoff. But then again, he might rotate those centre backs. Seems a little bit dodgy in that sense. I think Kadioglu, as a pick, I think he played over 3,000 minutes last season. Seems a bit safer and 4.5.
Then Verbruggen is fine. Like then I'm not getting into fullbacks because De Kuyper is there, and because of this European thing, with them playing just before game week 1, and then again between game week 1 and game week 2, then especially around bench boost, you don't want to be doing that.
I feel you.
Just one thing, I think Kinski might get a few Pickfordish Halls getting a few saves as well. They seem to be conceding some big chances, and he's shown good enough reflex. Also, people are slightly worried about his minutes. Actually, Martinez, De Zerbi praised him a lot for his previous game against Chelsea. His performance was really good as well, and he got good praise. So, yeah.
I think these are pretty much the clear picks in the price bracket. Between Lemons and Roves, I think I'm pretty clear on Lemons. Sunderland, I just don't have as much confidence they're going to be able to replicate. And I think the fixture is also much better for United.
Yep. When it comes to the promoted teams, we're doing a promoted team pod this week as well. So we learn a lot more about those options, which we'll speak about later. Talk
about the cheap defenders, the 4.5 guys. I think let's talk about the names I think that really I've seen in most teams. I put some names like Mitchell over there, for example. Now, Mitchell has been playing as one of the more advanced wing backs. Sage has been playing a back three, but the fixtures interest you guys at all?
Not really.
Haven't seen
No.
Mitchell in too many teams. Let's start from the top. I think the Brentford guys are interesting. Ayer now potentially might be more secure for minutes. I think VDB just recently got injured, and Sangare's signings has been confirmed. I think Brentford's defense will be a lot better. Some decent home fixtures to start with. I think they have Tottenham at home, and then in game week 3 they have somebody else I have to remember. I think maybe Sunderland. Yeah. In game week 4 they have Brentford. Sorry, game week 4 they have Bournemouth. So interesting fixtures over there. Aya has very good DEFCON potential. Brentford always a big set piece team. I think you place more faith in the centre back over there, especially if they don't sign anyone other than Coyote.
Yeah, and if you see actually Tom Hadley's charts that we pasted as well, his return for DEFCON was I think above 40% as well. So he did well from that perspective too.
Yep. Good DEFCON monster there.
Yeah.
Kadioglu D. Kuiper, like Pras mentioned, I think there's some rotation possibility over there. The minutes last season were very good.
I'm not too convinced about that because I think Kadioglu's cemented his position in the second half of last year as first choice, and he was really attacking as well. His minutes were very consistent towards the second half of the season, so I wouldn't be too worried about his minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agree he's first choice. But you see what happens is
with the Europe thing.
With the Europe thing, these people are not up to peak fitness yet, right? I mean, everybody's getting back into it. So it's just that adds into it, right? He's not going to play 90 over game week 1, game week 2, and the 2 European fixtures. So where does he lose his minutes? That's the question. Probably in Europe. That's the probable answer. And again, I think with Brighton, just like I said with Arsenal, you just wait till the Wednesday game, right? And then you see if it's Kadioglu who starts and then they're winning 3-0 and he was taken off on the 60th minute, safe pick, man. Game week 1, go for it.
Then we have Hato. I don't really like that pick at all. We will almost certainly sign.
Let's talk about our favorites in this price bracket rather than going by them one by one. I mean, the one name that jumps out to me is Rodon. I actually really like Daniel Farke's defense. They did really well in the second half of last season as well. Kept a substantial amount of clean sheets, and I think you know what you're getting with these centre backs, whether that's Rodon or Moha Bruic at 5 million. Pretty decent for DEFCON, pretty decent for set pieces as well. They play a defensive 3-5-2, which is something that we are aware of, which works, which generates some clean sheets. So, and just a known quantity in a team, in a league of so many manager turnovers. I like the reliability that a Leeds defender at 4.5 million or 5 million offers.
3 home fixtures in the first 5 as well.
Yep. And whether this is the spice that is common, whether you're going for a bench boost 1 marination or a bench boost 2 marination. I think Rodon at 4.5 million or Mohavrovic at 5 million work for either.
So with Mohamrovic, I'm just a bit wary. I think Bijol has very limited preseason minutes so far. And last year, even though Bijol was a big money signing for him, he took some time to bed him in. He played Stroik a lot ahead of him, gave him some time. So again, monitor the minutes there, the last season friendly, but he is an absolute DEFCON monster. I think he's worth the extra 0.5 if you can get there.
That's where I am at the moment. But of course, these things we'll get Leeds fans' views. There's some good Leeds fans. Shout out to Ed, who's the Planet FPL correspondent as well. Good friend of ours, FPL Rhinos, plays FPL in a very unique way. So we'll get
as well,
Leeds,
who writes for the Athletic and likes to watch us.
And of course Andy Martin. So there's lots of Leeds folks that we know, and we'll get a better view on people's minutes. And by the way, also for Brighton, I should say FPL Instinctive. I think these are things that we can also start to highlight to people, that if you want to follow these guys, they will do deep dives on these teams as in when they have their preseason, read the press conferences more than just a couple of quotes that we get to see in the masses. So follow these guys.
Then we have Luke Shaw, aka Burger King. It's currently in my team, but Burger King and I do not like each other, man. This was, I think, 3 or 4 seasons ago, and I was debating between going Bailey, I think Bailey or Bai, however you said his name, versus Shaw. So I earlier had Shaw in my team, and the lineups came out. We got a leak early, and Bai was starting. This is when Mourinho was the manager, and Mourinho had just been blasting Shaw all of last season. So I was like, okay, Shaw might get dropped randomly, and what does Shaw go and do? Scores his first goal. So we don't really like each other. I'm a bit worried about minutes, but again, could be attacking.
Hey, just wait and watch, right? With what happens with the Lewis Hall situation, I reckon that dictates whether Shaw is a pick or not.
Yeah, but at 4.5,
otherwise 4.5 is a good price. It's a good price
Yes.
he played, I think, 90 minutes, 37 out of 38 games last season.
He was
Yes.
the eighth highest defender in terms of minutes last year.
He is good for minutes. But if they change the setup and if it
Europe.
becomes something like where with Europe and they change the setup where, it's the left-hand side is actually very, very super attacking, you might see Dorgu playing there or Dalo playing there suddenly, and those 90 minutes mean nothing. So it's really dependent on what this new Carrick system looks like. But as of now, 4.5, when I saw Shaw's 4.5, I put him straight in. He's still in the draft, but we'll see.
Next, we have Ola Aina, who's obviously playing wing back in Glass's system, but I don't think he's very suited for that role. Very low on my priority list. I might even look at Jared Cunha instead of him.
Yeah, there seems to be they're not posting some good numbers in defense in preseason as well at the moment, which is a slightly worrying thing. I was looking at Glasner and Forest once I saw the fixtures, especially if you're looking at bench boost one, but one to monitor closer to date, I reckon.
And in terms of the promoted defender, I put Thomas and Van Uwijk in here, but I think all of us have a clear preference on Thomas, and LRE posted some stats in our chat earlier.
Yeah, I'll just read them out. Thomas actually, one second, let me just get them. Thomas had 37 shots in the championship last season as well. He got 3 goals and 4 assists. 3 out of his 4 assists came from red ball situations as well. So really attacking, decent DEFCON potential as well. And then Van Uwijk, he created 46 chances, 11 of which came from his long throws. Joined second among the championship for assists as well. So both of them are pretty good. I read in preseason Uwijk was taking the set pieces and corners as well. So both worth monitoring. This is the attractive bit for a Game Week 2 bench boost where you're talking about 2 strategies. The only thing is, if you're having Thomas and Van Uwijk, right, your squad isn't very robust, but also it's very flexible because that means you have slightly more big hitters, so it's easier to spread the cash around if you feel the need to do so. This is the impact of whether you go for these 4.2 million guys.
And why I prefer Thomas is because I think his returns are more sustainable. Van Uwijk, a large percentage of his returns were from open play, right? Obviously, they're going to score fewer goals now in open play, and they're going to have to defend more, which raises Thomas' DEFCON. So in terms of preference, even though you see the ownership, the way it is in FPL now, it's heavily in favor of the fullback. I prefer Thomas. To round this off in this bracket, I think the picks we like are Ayer, Kadioglu, Rodon, Shaw, and one of the Coventry defenders.
Yeah, my favorite is Rodon though in this bracket.
I'd agree with that. But again, it sets up, it all depends on the rotation. None of these guys are really guys you want to play every week. Maybe Shaw for the first 3, but after that, again, his fixtures get a bit more dodgy as well. But most of these guys are rotation option. It all depends who you're pairing them with.
If you wanted if you are thinking of rotation, then O'Shea from Ipswich is also good on DEFCON.
Who does he rotate with?
No, as in if you want to just play a guy for bench boost 1 and then not have him again, right? So that way it could work.
Ocean Greaves, I think, was it? It was from 2 seasons ago when they were up, who was fairly popular options.
I think we all had.
So Greaves. I'm looking at.
Go ahead.
We did have at some point. We all had Greaves. Was it because of the double? I don't know. Why did we have Greaves? Because he was 4 million.
It was 4 million, and he had some set piece threat. I think he scored very early on in the season.
Okay. So O'Shea's DEFCON projections I'm looking are like 44%, 50%, 46, 60, 60. So they're decent numbers. Even your guy Thomas is quite high, 48%. But in terms of average, O'Shea is very high. He's like the 6th highest defender. So another one to watch out for DEFCON percentage.
Move on to the 5 million guys, and this is interesting. Obviously, Kirke should be in the next column. My mistake over there. But you have Vuskovic, Colwell, Muhamrovic, Chake, Maguire, Neco Williams, and Ballard, who I think are all of interest. So, your top picks in this bracket, Pras. I think you had mentioned Vuskovic and Muhamrovic. We should give a shout out to Tom Hadley for highlighting these to us. These guys are absolute DEFCON beasts.
Tom Hadley and also Alex Volo, right?
Yes.
Who's watching these preseason games and he's seeing the roles that they're performing for their teams. So those are the two from a DEFCON perspective. So far, apart from the 4.0 guys, we haven't had one recommendation for a DEFCON monster. After the last season, all of us spending FPL review of the season saying we didn't account for DEFCON enough. But that's the irony. So far, 4.5, even in the 5 million bracket, there are none. So the two that have been identified, of course, we will understand their minutes a little bit better, are Vuskovic and Muharremovic. One from Croatia, one from Bosnia-Herzegovina, so the Balkan dudes. And they are tall, they do goals, and they do DEFCON. So if they can get minutes, I think these are two fantastic options for 5 million. But honestly, the 5 million bracket is my favorite. Like so far, in terms of looking at the defenders, all of them, I look at it and I go, I would pay 0.5 more for this guy. If you ask me Kadioglu versus Vuskovic, if Vuskovic is nailed, I would pay 0.5 more. If Rodon versus Muharremovic, I would pay 0.5 more. If you're talking Maguire versus Shaw, I would pay 0.5 more. So it's just one of those things. Aina versus Williams, I would pay 0.5 more. Money is obviously not infinite, but these are just excellent picks. And Jacquet could be a joke. If he starts game week 1, it's a joke if he's playing for an Iravella team, and there is literally no competition. It's just his own fitness.
I absolutely agree. This bracket is where the value is.
But the 3, if you ask me the 3, it really depends on your wildcard horizon, right? If your wildcard horizon is very short, wildcard 4 for sure, then I think Ballard is up there in terms of Ballard and Maguire are up there. If your horizon is slightly longer, where you want to wildcard in 6, then I think Vuskovic, Muharremovic, and Neko Williams are the 2 I really like, because their fixtures are really, really good until 5. And they rotate also between them. And actually, all 3 of them are in my draft.
Allah, how do you like this bracket? Who are your picks here?
I like this bracket, but there's a couple of, again, zoom out larger conversations that I want to have. Pras mentioned Jacket. At the moment, they don't have any fit defenders right now, and Leeds scored in a substandard friendly 4 goals against them. But in general, there is a transition of playstyle happening there, where they're going from a slightly more defensive, conservative situation under Slot, where they didn't keep many clean sheets either, to an all-action high press situation under Raola. How quickly do you think this transition happens, and are we expecting clean sheets? Are we expecting DEFCONs for both these defenders? And what's your opinion there?
DEFCON, yes, I think so, because just that's how his teams are set up. Clean sheets, not so much. I think it'll take some time.
The converse part is, though, they have the cleanest run of 5 or 6 fixtures amongst the slightly better teams. That's the one thing, which makes us want to take a gamble, because the fixtures are good across the board in the
especially
front 5
the home
6,
games. I think you have Forest and Fulham both at home and game week 2 and 4.
Newcastle away, Forest home, Ipswich away, Fulham home, Bournemouth away. You don't mind that as 5 fixtures. You hope
they're the top of the ticker. First 5 on Hub, they're the top.
I just think we need to adjust our expectations a little, because of this rock and roll style transitioning from Slot style. I wonder how they're going to look from a clean sheet perspective.
I'd agree.
Yeah, they really need to desperately sign a centre back.
Rock and roll style worked for Senesi and Hill, no? It works both ways now with the new system.
But it took some time, Pras. You remember the first 6 months of Iraola at Bournemouth, it was a car crash.
Yeah, I don't know the DEFCON numbers for that time, but I hear you. But then, we'll talk about Kirkes in the 5.5 million bracket. He could be amazing.
He could be amazing.
If DEFCON was not a thing, we would be talking about these fullbacks a lot more. But he could be great. I'm pretty sure Jacquet will be amazing. If they don't sign an elite competition, why aren't they in for Konza, for example? So
they need to sign a centre back. If you noticed, every post-match interview that Iraola has done, he's begging for them to sign centre backs at the moment, because they don't have anybody fit. He keeps saying, I have only 2 centre backs fit, they're 18 years old. We don't have defenders at the moment. So right now there's a problem at the back for Liverpool.
Even Jacquet, he's coming off the back of a serious injury. Again, once the Champions League starts, would be quite fragile. There's a bit of an unknown over there.
Yeah, I won't be surprised to see them sign a centre back before the season starts. I think.
If they don't, I think it'll be catastrophic. We're talking about another situation like last year. We'd have to play random guys at centre back.
And there is this other element to this where he doesn't like Frimpong. At least those are the rumors. Or he got an injury last night, or something happened, and Sabosla had to play right back, and they might even need a right back.
Yeah, the squad is already. Gomez got injured as well again in preseason as well, so that's why there's some issues.
Bradley isn't fit as either.
Yeah, I forgot about Bradley completely. But just a couple of interesting stats that I read with regards to Vuskovic. He scored 6 and 7 goals in the last 2 seasons as well, and his DEFCON potential is even higher than Muhammadovic. In his previously he averaged 12.4 defensive contribution actions per 90 minutes. That's just an absurdly high rate. One to monitor. Like you said, all of these guys depend on the rotation, etc. that you see. But what do you think about
the top 3 picks?
Top 3 picks in this bracket? I think it would be Muhammadovic, Vuskovic, and Ballard.
More so than Maguire?
Jacket, I want to go Jacket as well, but it depends on how many defenders Liverpool have fit.
I just
It's
like
just not the defenders as well, right? Because they have problems in midfield also, if you really think about it. Gravenberch, Soboslai, and McAllister didn't really work. Again, McAllister is going to come really, really late into preseason as well. So how ready they're going to be? I worry about their start at the start of the season because it's going to require a lot of running.
I think for me, to the two new DEFCON guys, Busco, Mohamedovic, but I think the third, Maguire, is going slightly under the radar because you guys really don't have as much of a set piece threat now with Casemiro gone. Pretty much everything is going to be directed towards Slabhead now.
Yeah. But I'm it's just being extra precautious. But with Licha, Heaven, Euro, and Maguire there, I would want to see proof that he's going to be certain first choice because Carrick wanting to transition into a possession style play, the other three are better ball players. So I just want to see what happens at centre back. I don't think he's as 100% nailed as everybody thinks he might be. If he plays the last preseason friendly, go for it. And you want him for 3 to 4 games anyway, but just wanted to throw in that little caution.
What's your top three?
No, I think for 5 million, right? Yeah, I gave my top three. So if it's short term, then it was Ballard, it was Maguire, and who else did I have in my first? I forgot now. But if it's the longer window, which I'm looking at, Wildcard 6, then Vuskovic, Muharemovic, and Neco Williams. Neco Williams is just good, man. He's on set pieces. He's super attacking and just good all-round guy.
He was in the top 4 or 5 for shots, expected assists, all of that last year. So, and he's gotten the Munoz role. At least it seems like it in preseason as well, where Aina slightly more bit on and Williams is more attacking. So yeah, that works a lot.
Exactly.
If I was bench boosting one, Williams would be in my draft, I reckon.
I'm not as hot on Williams as you guys are. I just don't see that defense has fully settled yet.
It'll settle, man. It's Glasner.
And plus, I like the defenders at the back. Like Murillo and Milinkovic are good defenders as well. So that's also something that plays.
Want to monetize, but obviously with Williams, you have to rotate him with the other guys because of the DEFCON potential. You could even feel them in a poor fixture. With Williams, I don't want to play him in 2 and 4 necessarily.
Yeah, you play 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah,
all are great.
Absolutely. You use them in a rotation. With perhaps one of the Leeds guys, for example.
See, now, if he's actually as attacking as Munoz as well, then he becomes a perma play too. So just worth monitoring what his role could be.
I don't know. Away to Anfield, do you still want to play him?
No, I'm just talking generally.
Yeah.
If that is his role.
A shot. The premium defenders. We talk about Gabriel. Have any of you guys made a draft with Gabriel in it? I honestly haven't even put him in once.
The non-Haaland draft will have Gabriel in it. So we have to talk about the non-Haaland draft later. Like, the longer Haaland doesn't show up for training, the more people need to start to at least think about what their team would be if they started without Haaland. So, but anyway, I think apart from that, it's just very difficult. If there are people here who are not going with Bruno, who are not going with Haaland, I think then Gabriel is a no-brainer, right? I mean, we've just talked about the clean sheet potential, add to it his bullet header potential, which I think we overblow a lot, his bullet header potential. Like every corner, it is uncomfortable to watch, but it's not like he scores from every corner. So, so that's the thing. But otherwise, yeah, he's the best defender.
All you need to do when it comes to a centre back, because getting goals on corners is a little bit random, even though it's set piece FC League. Like the fact that Virgil got 6 goals last season was an anomaly. This will not happen again. It requires you to hit a hot streak when the defender's on a hot streak of putting the ball at the back of the net on a set piece.
Virgil, speaking of set piece threat, I think the same caveats with the Liverpool defense apply, but obviously more reliability, more of a known quantity in terms of DEFCON and goal threat.
Yep. I mean, we already spoke about Liverpool defense, so I'd rather discuss defenders that we haven't discussed.
City.
And that's where I still think if I was to spend premium in defense, I'd go back to my boy Nico O'Reilly. The more and more I think about City and, how when he first came to Chelsea, the first thing that he did was, before implementing his style of play, it was defense first. And that's what I see with City as well. We could see a defense first sort of system, and you think about the times Cucurella was in the center of the box waiting to attack, and that's just Nico O'Reilly's specialty. I don't think Maresca is going to make Nico Riley become somebody else. He did that similar. Even Tuchel did that for Nico Riley for England as well. He's just a box crasher, intuitive, natural. That's how he's wired as a player. So if I'm spending more in defense, I think that's where I'll go.
I agree. And the thing with Maresca is right now, you have to look at center midfield. Who are his options? You have Nico Gonzalez, who I think will be returning late with Argentina. Rodri, who's had an operation. Elliot Anderson, of course, who they've got. He's going to be pretty much a mainstay now. Apart from that, they don't really have. Bernardo Silva is gone now. So I think Nico O'Reilly will actually be playing in midfield more. And the way Maresca operates is one midfielder will get licensed to bomb forward. We remember Enzo. Enzo was in better positions than Palmer. So often the center back who dropped into midfield gave him the license to get forward. And in terms of attacking potential, I think probably Nico O'Reilly is a better attacker than Elliot Anderson. So I think that's the role he's going to be given. The only caveat
but it'll
is
still be in
at left back also
position.
He will be attacking
Yeah,
either,
I don't think
either
he'll
position.
start. Yeah, because I don't think he has a passing range to play as a midfielder. Like you require
he's
that
a progressor.
also.
He's a progressor,
Yeah.
not really a passing range guy. I get the point. You mean Enzo
Yeah.
had both. That's potentially
exactly.
like the difference over there. But I'd really like O'Reilly, and I think it'll all depend on the Shield. If he starts the Shield, we're going to see him in a lot of teams because I think City's fixtures are a bit underrated. Those
Agree.
3 home fixtures are really good.
But I feel also Maresca's rotation is a bit underrated.
He's a full-on tinker man, bro.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That people are underrating that just because a guy starts Community Shield, gets 60 minutes. What is your view on his minutes? It could be anything.
But at the same time, Pras, he did have favorites. Enzo, for example, played every game.
Yeah, but it's, he's already said his favorites are Guardiola, Foden or Haaland. We'll see how much that works out.
I have a point to make about that also, right? Obviously, he's not going to come out and say that your Foden's been rubbish for the last 3 years. I'm just going to bench him all the games. A lot of it is manager speak, which people are reading into, similar with Guardiola, right? Now, why I like Guardiola is not because of Maresca's comment. Now, what Maresca does is that generally he plays a back 3 in possession. And when Colville got injured, he kept talking about how the central centre back's role is to dictate play in terms of making those line breaking passes. Now, you look at the other centre backs they have. Ruben Diaz, can he do that? No. The only pass he can make was to Maya Jama, and that failed. Then you have Kusanov. Obviously, Kusanov cannot do that. Now, Gehi can to a certain extent, but Gehi is obviously coming back late. So I think Guardiola...
Kusanov was pretty decent at passing as well.
No, but nowhere near the level I think that Guardiola is. And Guardiola spoken in an interview I read on The Athletic that he actually has the ability to place those through balls, but Pep had completely banned him from doing so. Pep told him there's no way you're doing that. The switch in play. Exactly. You read the same article I did. So I think Guardiola really offers that, and we've forgotten how much of a set piece monster he is. He just naturally has a tendency to get forward. He's just a very attacking defender at set pieces as well. So I think Guardiola is really going under the radar. At 5.5, he's my favorite pick there.
Yeah. In all the drafts that I've done, a City defender has featured. So that's where I'm in my perception of City defense as well.
No, I can see it as well. I mean, that's the appeal of the 5-week or 3-week window, right? City are up there. They have probably the best fixtures. So makes sense.
Absolutely. I haven't included Munoz in here. Because again, Palace defenders, when you can get the other guys for so much cheaper, doesn't really make sense. Porro's in there, but I don't even think he'll be available for game week 1.
But he's an option. Like later
he's
on,
100% an option.
As soon as he drops to 5.4, 5.3, just pick him up. Like their fixtures after 4-5 are great.
And
Colville is going to become a big option on Wildcard as well.
Who?
Yes.
Colville. No, bro, we're not going to be getting Colville. You're going to be getting Palestra. That dude is a beast. He was the fastest player in Serie A last season. Just naturally, in terms of his dribbles, the way the bonus points have changed, they're really going to favor him. He'll be in all our teams on Wildcard 4.
Watching their preseason games as well, he's basically the reincarnation of Ben Chilwell. Like roadrunner, constantly in the box, getting plays. Ben Chilwell, Alonso, etc. That kind of a wing back he is. So yeah, one to keep an eye on for at 5.5.
Where's your boy Mukiele? He scored yesterday.
I mean, I've only put players in over here who was considered in my draft. I'm not spending 5.5 there.
You know, I quote RT the goal that Sunderland posted, and I just said he keeps doing it. And then like 10 comments are like, maybe we accept that he's actually just really good as a player.
He is. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah. I
Yeah, but
remember
he can
Zoff
be
talking
good, but
about it.
also expensive, no? Like that's the
Yeah.
thing people miss in FPL. Like he'll have a good season. It's not that when people are not picking him or not considering him makes him a bad player. It's just he's probably expensive for 5.5.
Yep. Yep.
I could go for a Ballard at 5 over there. I like Troy Hume also. He's been getting very good minutes at 4.5. People are looking at him with a short-term horizon over there.
Yeah.
Sunderland after game week 3, it's all very unpredictable with Europe.
Yep.
Anything more on the defenders?
But they rotate well with Spurs defenders. Spurs have Everton and Aston Villa in 4 and 5. So if at all are looking at a 4.5, Sunderland and Spurs rotate well.
Move to mids. We spent an hour on defenders.
So hold
already.
on. Let me just look at projected points. See if who we are missing. Hill is the highest DEFCON average for all defenders for the first 5 weeks. 69% average DEFCON percentage projected. Of course, the manager has changed. Understand, but it's just worth mentioning him. Let's watch how the new role looks, how the new manager looks. Canvo is the second highest DEFCON defender.
Before we go forward, I did see the highlights for the Bournemouth game. It was insane. They are like mad, high press, high line sort of defense at the moment, and the goals that the opposition conceded were always like ping balls behind the Bournemouth defenses. So watch out. While they get used to the new manager, Bournemouth could concede a few goals early season, I reckon. It was just the impression I got from watching a 5-minute highlight video from a Bournemouth preseason game.
DEFCON, we don't need clean sheets. So I'm just highlighting the DEFCON guys.
This is more to highlight the non-Haaland Game Week 1 owners when he places a Bournemouth team Game Week 1. Like, I was not convinced about the defensive ability.
Non-Haaland Game Week 1 owners are already scared. You don't need to scare them more. They're already
I just wanted to bring this up.
No, okay, I agree with you fully. So then the other names that are coming out. So Canvo I mentioned. Again, new manager, new system, no idea. But he'll be the main guy, right? Without Lacroix. Him and Richards. Tarkowski we didn't talk about. So if you're looking at a Game Week 7 wildcard, and Game Week 7 wildcard is more relevant for people who are non-Haaland, because Haaland, that's the good entry point to get Haaland back on wildcard. Then Everton players come really into the reckoning because their Game Week 5 and Game Week 6 fixtures are fantastic. So you can actually get Tarkowski at the beginning. So a lot of non-Haaland teams, you will see Tarkowski in the team. You know why? Because they're looking to wildcard in Game Week 7. And apart from that, I think we covered everybody. Murillo is an option. DEFCON guy, Glasner.
I think he's having some injury issues, very limited preseason minutes from what I saw.
Okay. Yep, that was it. These are the top 10 anyway.
That was basically our defense pod, by the way.
Pretty much, we've done the defense pod. That's what we wanted to tell you guys. In fact, like at the outset, we probably should have mentioned that we're not really splitting it up into defense and attack this year because just so much is unknown with all these new managers. Now, from the time we podded and Eddie Howe is also gone. So we just as things evolve, we'll just keep discussing them.
Yep.
Week by week.
All right, and let's not dive so much into detail. We'll just look at the ones we're liking for our team who are part of our watch list when we're looking at midfielders and strikers as well. Before we move any further though,
go ahead.
We have about 700 people watching us live. If you guys are new here, we are doing close to 4 to 5 videos a week in preseason. We've got journalists lined up. We've got drafts with the likes of FPL Raptor and Let's Talk FPL lined up as well. We're just doing content non-stop. And then when the season starts, we'll be doing a podcast plus 3 team selection videos a week as well. So show us some love. We have a very aggressive goal of hitting 50k subscribers before the Game Week 1 deadline as well. We're about 43,100 at the moment. So if you could hit the like and subscribe button, if you already liked and subscribed, take your neighbor's phone and subscribe to our channel and get us there. We really, really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Midfielders, let's not spend too much time over here on the Hull guys. There are a bunch of guys that might be options at 4.5, Slater, Dowell and Crooks. We'll wait for the promoted team pod to find out. But Hull are very active in the transfer window. So that situation could rapidly evolve.
Yep.
Couple of other names at 5 million.
Bottom.
Yes, are interesting. Roll has been getting very good minutes, and I think that might go even up if Ndiaye leaves. And someone who's in your draft press, Gomez from Brighton.
I just think he's playing Mitoma's position, man. Like for 5 million, when I looked into it, I was like, is this a different Gomez? That people were picking on Wildcard last year. I remember Wildcard 32, he was super popular because either he would play in that left wing position or he would play center midfield. His minutes were good. He was DEFCONing. And I'm like, now he's 5 million and nobody's really looking interested in him.
There's so many wingers, no, Pras. They have this guy, Mitoma. Is Mitoma injured?
Mitoma's injured. Yes, Mitoma's injured. So short term, like Gomez could be out of the team by game week 3 or whatever. But short term for a bench boost, game week 1, home game, if he lasts game week till game week 3, even better. I just think with an early wildcard, he's a good option. And I just like that 5 million bracket because having thought about the season a little bit and the price points, I feel 3 proper forwards and a cheap midfielder is the better way to go in terms of if you want to save your money and you want to put it back in defense as well. So then I'm just in the hunt for a cheap midfielder. I could go down to 4.5 if one of these guys, other guys, DEFCON guys appear. But as a structure, I'm liking just not spending money on the fifth midfielder, at least until wildcard 1. So Gomez is an option. Norgard, who's moving to Everton. Now, there is no guarantee that he starts for Everton. What's up with his deal if he goes? But if he's going, he probably gets some start guarantee. Like he's already not starting for Arsenal anyway. So let's see, one to watch. But his numbers are good from a DEFCON perspective. Everton, as I've said, game week 1 fixture is great. Their actually fixtures are good beyond that. Those are the ones at 5 million that I like.
The 5.5 million to 7 million bracket. And I'll just go by the names I like over here. I think Dewsbury Hall is going under the radar. Has had a very good, strong preseason. On to monitor. Anderson, of course. I don't know how much.
On set pieces as well.
It's 6.5.
Yeah, this is 5.5 to 7.
Oh, okay, to 7. Right.
Yeah. Worth mentioning that Garner is injured. So it's very likely that Dewsbury Hall could be on all set pieces as well because Garner used to take corners from one side. Now Dewsbury Hall is taking most of them as well. Just wanted to add that bit of information.
Manzambi, I don't really know much about him. Tavernier is a very interesting one. If you're going to look at a bench boost in game week 2, Tavernier versus Clivert, I think that could be an interesting decision. Clivert is obviously back now, and we expect him to take penalties over Tav. I think that's a safe assumption.
He's better at
not a safe
like
assumption.
If Tav was even giving them to Krupi, man. He's not as confident. Whereas Clivert just takes the ball and shoots. He scores was it not a hat trick of penalties?
Of penalties, yes. Yeah. Against Wolves.
Yeah. When Evan Nielsen, when you won all 3 of them.
Exactly. What a great day for everyone.
The Brentford mids, I'm not sure either one of them really inspire confidence. Sade or Dango. I know you had a good experience with Dango late season. Sade had the highest, I think, big chances amongst midfielders alongside Boomo, but very streaky player and not a fan favorite. But fixtures again for Brentford, I could be convinced. Are these guys going under the radar potentially?
I think so. But Sade, there was some transfer speculation, right?
Yes. And they've also signed Anthony, right, from Burnley. So there's also more competition on the wings now. Plus, randomly, he chucks in Lewis Potter over there.
There's also a dichotomy with Brentford. If you remember, they were in the hunt for 7th or 8th and then fell off a cliff in the last 10 game weeks of the season where their form massively fell as well. So just something to remember while we're trying to recollect what happened towards the end of last season, and they had all the motivation to go for European places and then just couldn't sustain.
After that, you have Endai. We just don't know whether he's going to be at Everton or not. So I'll just put a question mark next to his name. Thing is, you could pick him for game week 1. He could be gone game week 3. And the best fixtures really for Everton are from game week 4 and 5. Or is it 5? I think 4 and 6. 5 and 6, yeah. Ipswich and Hull, right? So you obviously want them for the longer horizon. Why it seems a bit more dodgy. Gross, I really like. More and more I think about it each day. He was 4th for chances created amongst midfielders from January. Very likely on penalties. Now that Welbeck is gone, he took one in preseason as well. We got a quote from Hertzler that LR sent us just before we came on about how they've been practicing set pieces. So I think Gross shares
and how they want to improve in a set piece FC league, improve their conversion rate as well as doing well on set pieces as well. So I think that does well for the Brighton centre backs. That does well for the likes of Gross as well.
I think he shares them with De Kuyper, but it just takes a large chunk of them. I think De Kuyper takes corners on one side. But I think, and then you have Lefe, who's had a very strong preseason. He said he wants to score more goals, and they're both very similar players, I think.
Just want to throw a couple of names in the rings, just adding some context to them while they're on the watch list as well. I think it comes down to whether you're going BP1 or BP2. I think this slot, the 6 million, 5.5 million midfield slot sort of can be dictated by maybe which player you like more, which is by which way you go with the bench boost as well, in terms of who you're convinced about more as well. It doesn't have to be like, no, I want to go Bruno. Like that's a large separate conversation. These players you can go as per the fixtures as well. But since you guys, if we are considering bench boost 1, let's not forget our hero from last season who topped the XGI from game week 16 until game week 38 amongst all midfielders. Do you remember the name?
Hinchelwood?
Yes, he needs to be on the watch list. He was playing behind the striker, even in the preseason game as well. Again, taking up striker ancillary positions as well. So one to watch in preseason because he's their number 10. He's their goal scoring number 10 who's gone under the radar. Not a whiff of a mention. People have just erased the second half of last season from their memory. So yeah,
I do remember him.
so
What worries me now is that the relationship with Welbeck that he had, the link up was so good. Who does he have that with now? Does he have that with Rutter or one of the Greek guys? That's the thing that's worrying me. Because Welbeck completely brought him into play. Welbeck could often drop deep, and Welbeck is very technical at doing that.
yeah. I also wanted to notice Gross was taking up great positions in attack as well. Like he was playing like an 8 pretty much in the preseason friendly as well. So again, one that rightly should be on top of people's watch list.
I think Gross is underpriced, man. I think at 5.5, I think he's the standout.
He's proper routes to points, especially if it looks like he's going to take penalties. For people that don't know, he did take a pen in the preseason friendly as well with the Greek striker on the pitch. So that is very pertinent and important information. I just wanted to give a shout out to Manzambi. There is word that he could be playing the Rogers role in that Aston Villa team. He played as a 8 or a deep lying midfielder in his previous team, but in the World Cup he played for the forward as well. So keep an eye out. If he's playing the Rogers role, he could be a snip at that price.
Round off some of these guys, I think Gomez is our clear favorite at 5 million. At 5.5, there's Gross. Is there anybody else even that caught it at 5.5? It's a bit barren, right? That bracket. I think hopefully Sangare comes in at that price, then becomes more of a conversation. He could be this season's Elliot Anderson, I think.
Sangare is interesting. Ampadu is interesting from Leeds. Good, decent DEFCON numbers, 5.5 million. Who else at 5.5?
Stack is 6 million as well for people that were looking. He was popular last year as well. Took set pieces too. Yeah.
Iwobi from Fulham. I know Fulham are all over the place, but did he not take a penalty? I think
he took a penalty.
He did.
So Iwobi could be
I think
interesting.
Muniz also took one. There's a full penalty share situation. It could be similar with what they had with Jimenez. And they've also signed a new striker for Madrid, haven't they? Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's Xhaka, 5.5. I think those are the 5.5 guys. But 6 is more interesting.
6 is actually very interesting. I think this is the sweet spot. It's very similar to the 5 million bracket we discussed for defenders in terms of the value you're getting, but you have to play the fixtures there. Again, your wildcard horizons and your bench boosts matter there. I think in terms of 6 million bracket, I like Lefebvre a lot. I like Tavernier. Anybody else you guys particularly like?
Yeah, Lefebvre, Tavernier, Stack. Stack is not bad. Harvey Barnes.
But Harvey Barnes is an interesting one because this new Newcastle manager apparently very, very attacking. He's from this whole Red Bull school. Very vertical pressing. But they've also signed a winger from the Ivory Coast. I think he's also a Toure. I forgot his name. He's also supposed to be quite good. But Newcastle, don't they just seem like a complete avoid right now? I think they're more for the later one. I think game week 4 or 5 is when the fixtures get better.
They could become good value later. But yeah, this is just highlighting everybody. And of course, we have not forgotten Hinchelwood at 6 million as well.
So Thank you, Pras. Appreciate it.
Who are your top 3 guys then at 6 million? Because that's an interesting one. Then we'll do 6.5.
It's tough at the moment. This is like a bracket where it's TBD until game week 1. It's like more information is needed to assess because a lot of them are playing for new managers and new teams at the moment. So no, I can't call it at the moment. But Gross, Lefebvre, Clivert, Tavernier are right up my radar in terms of what might happen.
So if there's an issue with Clivert, then I think Tavernier on penalties is probably as good as it gets. Even I wouldn't even worry if you're bench boosting. Like just it's okay. Like his fixtures for the first 5, there's some good home games that you can target, especially game week 2, game week 4, and even 3 and 5 are okay.
3 is away to Newcastle, who are unsettled.
Exactly. So I think Tavernier, if he's known that he's on pens and there's some issue with Clivert, he's not starting or whatever. If Clivert is starting, it's iffy, especially for people on bench boost 1.
He played the last season preseason friendly, so he should start. Like there's
so
no
Clivert is looking for it. Yeah. But sometimes Clivert does have fitness issues. That's why Iraola never played him more than like 50-60 minutes.
But it's worth noting that they have a lot of guys now. Brooks is fit. Ben Doak played. Like there were like 6 or 7.
Alex Toth
Tav will play 90 minutes anyway. Tav will play 90 minutes. So it's about whether it's just that pen share thing with Clivert. Whether you want to go for him now or you wait. I have no doubt Tavernier will be in most teams. Game week 7, 8 beyond if Bournemouth look good. So I think him Ndai, if he doesn't leave, is also a great option at 6 million.
But
as it
Ndai,
happens,
like, what do we need to hear to put him in our squads? We could hear that he's staying, and then suddenly game week 2, the bid comes in. Doesn't he feel like a very volatile pick to make?
I need Moyes to say that Ndai is always our player, or he signs a new
even
contract.
then,
You know what happens?
even then, like, I guess the contract thing would be the only thing I would look for. Unless he signs that contract, he's not going in my team.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just one more name. Then I was going through the list of 6 million midfielders. Somebody who's having a really good preseason is Tell at Spurs. He's been very, very attacking, been playing one of the two wingers. They're playing a 4-3-3. They're not playing a 4-2-3-1 with a number 10. And Tell has been one of the higher performing wingers as well. We'll have Baker coming on later as well to give us insight on Spurs, but one to add to a watch list.
Not inside propaganda on Spurs, just FYI. People just watch it with a pinch of salt.
Yep. So the 3 6.5 guys, well, 4 6.5 guys I've got here. Do you think they're worth paying 0.5 million more? Tango, Sar, KDH, Anderson.
Anderson is worth.
Why
Anderson and KDH I like.
Why do you think Anderson? I've seen Anderson some of the drafts.
Anderson, okay, this is not last season hangover. Maybe a little bit of it is last season hangover, but there is also the upside with Anderson that he starts the game with Rodri still there, and the guy is playing like Reinder's position, getting DEFCON and playing like a box.
But that won't happen in the first 5 game weeks anyway, right? Because Rodri is pretty much out for that period.
Okay, if that's, I thought it's only like the first couple of weeks that Rodri is out. So if he's,
he's had a back surgery and he's not training, so even if he comes back, he's going to take some time to integrate him over that, right?
I mean, let's look
and
at
he might even be off to Madrid anyway.
By the way, Anderson has, yeah, that's true. But Anderson has a good corner. I want to see if he's taking any corners at all in the Community Shield. So if there is some upside, you're already getting clean sheet potential more than what he had at Forest. You're already getting the fact that he plays for much better players. You can just see him passing the ball just diagonally to Cherki and Cherki just scoring randomly from outside the box. Like, he has more potential for attacking returns here if he's on some set pieces than before. Of course, that is offset a little bit by DEFCON, but even there, Alex Volo did a piece where it was a lot of recoveries, where a lot of his Forest DEFCON was recoveries, and that recovery doesn't change between whether it's Man City or Nottingham Forest.
Especially if he's initiating a counter-attack as well. I shout out to Alex Volo because that
exactly.
post got my attention with regards to Anderson as well.
That piece was actually very key. So yeah. I don't think we should ignore Anderson at City just like that, and we all know what happened when we ignored him last season as well. So the temptation with Anderson is find 0.5 and go up to someone.
Foden. And also, ultimately, I'm still wary of tying up the third City slot by game week 3. If City look fire, let's say I'm going for a Guardiola, and obviously I'm going for a Haaland. Maybe Semenyo looks red hot, and I'm like, oh shit, I won't get Palmer when I move up Bruno. I'd rather get Semenyo. Maybe I'd get Foden. So just locking yourself out of the third City pick.
See, the locking argument, I would agree if it was not the 5 free transfers era, right? Now, like, you shouldn't, like, temptation shouldn't be a reason you're using your transfer before your wildcard.
But for example, let's say now, how do you want to get, let's say, like, I know you won't want to get to Semenyo's price, but let's say we get to game week 3 and let's say you want to get Semenyo. How are we going to get that with Anderson, Guardiola? You'll have to downgrade Bruno and sell like Anderson also, right?
I will not get Semenyo.
Like, I know you won't, but hypothetical situation.
Like, if it's taking 2 transfers for one player who I'm not even going to captain, I will just not get him because I know that when I wildcard in 4 or 6, I'll get him if he's looking that great. You know what I mean?
I get it, but
captain,
the point
I'm saying is, transfer.
I'm just saying he's not as high an upside a player to commit the third City slot to yet.
I disagree. I mean, before wildcard, I want to save my transfer. Nothing is going to unless something fundamentally happens, like a major injury and my best captain, who's Haaland, is injured. Then I'll be desperate to get Semenyo because he then probably becomes the best captain in game week 4.
Also, Maresca plays more with wingers compared to like Semenyo and the likes coming in, if I remember correctly, in terms of how
absolutely. So what the wingers normally stretch the pitch and the fullbacks normally invert. That's the way the role works, and the center of the pitch is where the midfielders and number 10 operate.
So the point I was coming to is, I wouldn't be surprised to see him convert an Anderson into an Enzo. Now, he's the player who's got the passing range as well as a total all-round game where he maybe tells him, no, you need to box crash a little, get in, score a couple of goals as well. So there is upside there because I'm not worried about his minutes at all. By virtue of playing with world-class players in a team like City, there could be upside. And at the start of the season, you're looking to hold on to players 5 weeks, right? If you're getting Anderson in there, you're not spending a transfer on him. At least there's like a lock spot until wildcard. So I do see the arguments there.
I get that, but I see him playing more the Caicedo role than the Enzo role. And I just feel that early doors, I look at these guys are potentially more talismanic, like your Dango, Sar, and KD edge, rather than
I don't know,
Anderson.
man. Like I think
This
his
is what we did last year.
all-round game is more Enzo than Caicedo. Like I think he's got a lot to his game in terms of attacking ability, creative ability as well. I don't think he's a pure
But they
defensive
do need,
midfielder.
but
I
then
think
who do they have in that holding role? City are just so the midfield are lacking a bit there.
Community Shield will tell us, but I think Anderson is way more than a defensive midfielder.
I agree with that, but again, the role I see him playing is more of the holding pivot role, given the personnel they have.
That's what he did for England. He played with Rice, and he was largely a DM. So I agree more with Zoff, but I do think that's fine. Like, this is new FPL. It doesn't need to be Enzo to be a good pick for 6.5.
Fair enough. From the 6.5 guys, I like Sar and KDH a bit more. I guess you guys can like Anderson there.
I like KDH a lot, underrated, especially now that he's on set pieces.
So KDH goes slightly, and again, he can also get his DEFCON as we've seen. Many routes to points over there. So just slightly
like one of those players that you always think of getting, that you don't get. And then Andy, Let's Talk FPL, had him for the second half of the season and absolutely rinsed him, got so many points from him.
Move on to the next bracket. Mid 7 million and above.
Oh, guys, hold on. For 5.5 million, you know the guy, the DEFCON beast everyone's been talking about, that's joining Brentford, Sangare. His price is out. 5.5 million.
There we go. We were just talking about that. 5.5 is great value for him. Again, DEFCON beast.
Let me check this, that I'm not being caught by fake news.
That's what we'd expect, right? I think that's a very ballpark pricing.
Yeah, 5.5.
5 would be too low.
Which is good price.
6 would be too high. 5.5 is spot on.
And if Damsgaard starts, even he's 5.5 million. The problem is the minutes there. Sometimes he played as a 10, sometimes he didn't play as a 10. Towards the end of last season when their form dipped, that was some issue. I wonder a little bit of Brentford because they dipped too much at the end of the season. So I just wonder a little bit about them.
We talk about Thiago when we get there, how many penalties he's going to get. But the premium is, I think, let's skip the Bruno conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Lock should be.
Absolute lock, man. I would say pretty much level with Haaland for me. Not higher thing.
But let's have a conversation. 1 second. On Discord, a couple of people, I had a conversation here. And they were like, guys, listen, okay, Bruno's great, right? But if you're of the belief that Haaland starts very well, and I don't want to captain Bruno against, when Haaland is playing Bournemouth at home. I don't want to captain Bruno when Haaland is playing, what is his Game Week 2 fixture?
Crystal Palace away.
Crystal Palace. It's a new manager. I want to captain Haaland both those weeks. Then you guys are already telling me after Game Week 3, his fixtures aren't great. After Game Week 4, a lot of you are even planning to sell him to Cole Palmer. So why shouldn't I just start with Palmer? Or why shouldn't I just start with double Man United midfield? I can get Mbuma and Cunha. So I have an answer, but I want to come to you guys on. It's not like we can't say it's a no-brainer. Like you can go without Bruno.
You can.
Yeah, you can go
without Haaland also.
It's just he's more of a known quantity compared to Bumo, compared to Cunha, compared to Palmer, compared to Saka. And I think he'll become an even better goal scorer this season with the midfield duo that we'll have playing behind him, whether it's Mount, whether it's Santos, whether it's Tielemans. That will help him be in more attacking goal scoring positions as well. He's assured for minutes and he's peak age. And it's just a gift to get to promoted teams as the first 2 games of the season. And then if he's doing 10 and 12 in the first 2 games of the season, you don't even need to sell him Game Week 4 for Palmer. It's just easier to sell Bruno than to buy him and make sure you're not putting yourself in the soup at the start of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, Game Week 4, I might realize over there and be like, Joao Pedro versus Hull is absolutely fine. I might want to keep Bruno there.
I mean, what you guys are saying, I am in full agreement with. And it ultimately, but for me, does come down to captaincy. Like, everybody plays FPL differently. And I think that if your objective is to beat the crowd, right, which I think overall rank is essentially that, then whether it's Game Week 1 and 2 or whether it's only Game Week 2, I think you should look to take on Haaland. Don't be scared. Like, it's 2 promoted teams that Bruno is playing. He was the player of the season last year. He does do goals and assists. He does take all set pieces. He will play 95 minutes. I would encourage you to think about captaincy a little bit more because it's scary not captaining Haaland. It's very scary, but LR has done it his whole career and done very well certain times. Certain times it backfires. I did it a lot more last season. And actually, the more you do it, the better you feel about the mental aspect of it. Then it's just like, yeah, it is what it is, man. Like he did well three times. You made up a couple of times. It was not the end of the world. I would also encourage risk a little bit from that point of view.
I just think the error bars, I love that term that you mentioned, are much higher if you screw up not starting with Haaland, because what happens, it encourages almost like a game week 3 wildcard, because the funds are spread too wide. When I'm building a team at the moment also, it's very easy to build a fully balanced team with Haaland and Bruno. The moment it gets unbalanced is if you're trying to shoehorn Foden and Bumo or Palmer in there. I think if you're just going with these two and trying to spread the funds, it's very easy to get a balanced team as long as you're avoiding Gabriel. So I feel like it's almost unnecessary. Very honestly, I almost feel like it's all very, very unnecessary. And like, why take on either? It's a great fixture for both. It helps you to assess form and nail your captaincy in game week 2, seeing how both these players are doing. Just keep your options open, and FPL is also about making sure you're not fucked at the start of the season. And I think keeping these two will help that.
The ad rating.
Yeah, but I just think it's important. I think there was a quote we had, right? Like, it's about making sure. I think insurance of having a 15-point Bruno Haaland as your vice captain, whichever way you go with your captaincy, because they've got such a high potential in the first 2 game weeks of the season, I think it's worth it. And I don't think you're buying much if you're selling either of them, because you can get a balanced team.
Agree. Let's talk Palmer.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm debating whether I want him for game week 1 versus game week 4 at the moment. And he's doing exactly what I want him to. Staying quiet, playing the right positions as an ancillary striker. I think playing once a week is going to benefit him really, really well. It's just a matter of whether I get him game week 1 or game week 4.
Yep.
That's about it.
I have no doubt he's going to be a phenomenal pick, but with Palmer, right? Again, we're not going to captain him. Is he potentially going to get points in the first few? Yes, but I still want to see it. I don't mind just seeing it and then arriving a little bit, few game weeks later, and turning up, then be like, oh, Palmer's maybe not getting the points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 1.5 seasons, maybe even longer since we've seen peak Palmer. I just want to see more proof in the pudding before going there. Simple as that. I have nothing against the pick. I am too. Absolutely. But without seeing it, I'm a bit wary of making the sacrifices that I need to get him in.
Also, just worth monitoring, Zoff already mentioned Chelsea's shape at the start of the season. They're playing Pedro and Palmer up front. And both the other guys, Gittins, who's been in good form, and I think Estevao, were playing as pure wingers. It's interesting to monitor what will happen in terms of shape once Roger comes in preseason as well, because he's very different to Gittins and Estevao as players. So as a player. So yeah, just want to monitor later in preseason when Rogers is in the Chelsea camp, how he fits these three.
Because we're going a 4-2-3-1 shape. He hasn't really employed a back three as of yet.
At the moment.
Yeah. I haven't looked at Palmer at all.
I know, Press, you're more on the game week 4 horizon for Palmer.
Yeah, but the way I'm looking at it is almost like a hedge, right? That I'm setting a team for game week 6 wildcard. And if I need to wildcard by game week 4, which is possible, then Palmer will be in anyway, right? Because the Hull fixture is actually game week 4. Why do I need him for Arsenal away in game week 3 when I definitely won't be wildcarded? So that's the way I'm thinking about it. Of course, I may miss points in game week 1 and 2, but let's say he braces in game week 1, right? I'm still going to be of the mindset, okay, this maybe means that I have to wildcard in game week 4 to get Palmer, or I need to start thinking about getting him. I still won't be getting him game week 2 just ahead of Arsenal away for game week 3. So at least that's the thinking, and then you can use those funds to spread around for bench boost. At least that's my thinking with Palmer.
Yeah. The only thing is the new FPL change about prices being live. Like if he braces game week 1 and then he has a goal game week 2, we are looking at a season-long hold asset.
That's still cheap
10,
then.
Still under 10 million.
Yeah, but we're still paying like 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 more compared to a lot of the crowd. So that will play on our mind. We are saying it now, but if he does it, it will play on our mind. And then that's the only thing. But I get it. You don't need to buy before Arsenal.
You can rise 0.3 in a game week max.
Exactly. So
buying him for Arsenal. So like points, maybe 0.7 is maximum we see from Palmer. Even then, I don't think it happen.
Any drops, or he does nothing any drops.
Exactly. Most people in game week 2, for example, have to sell Bruno. Nobody's selling Bruno for Ipswich home.
Correct.
It'll be difficult for people to get to. Right.
That's us. Like not knee jerky People see rising, and then I don't know how the market is going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how that is at the start of the season.
It will be self-fulfilling to a certain extent.
Our knees will need to be strapped tight to our shares.
Just don't go on the website. First 3 weeks, don't go on the website. Plan to save.
We're already at 90 minutes, guys. I think this is going to be a long one.
That's okay. It's preseason. People have time. It's fine.
Is this why we split it in? Oh, this is why we split attack and defense. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
Do you guys want to do
All
that?
right.
I mean, we only have forwards now, so might as well do that.
We can say forwards for next week. I reckon. I think it's fine.
Let's do that.
Yeah, because after this, let's just skip to our drafts after this, right? Because I think it'll go.
Yeah. But let's not dilute the conversation about
That's
these premium
precisely the point.
users,
There's some points I want to discuss here that merit discussion rather than skipping ahead to forwards.
And forwards can wait for next week. It's fine.
Semenyo, like you guys mentioned, is an interesting one because I do expect City to play with more of a winger style. And Semenyo mentioned he actually likes that. I think he got a nice assist also against Inter, coming in from the wing. I do expect his goal threat to be a little bit reduced though.
His minutes, I think amongst the City attackers will be the most robust though. There's not much competition in his position. They have only 2 wingers. In fact, the competition is at number 10, where one of Foden or Cherki will play. I think Semenyo is going to be first choice.
Who are the wingers? Doku, Semenyo.
And Semenyo. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't have wingers. They're light on wingers at the moment. Unless they buy somebody, they're just light. So and Marmoush, but Marmoush is not a winger as well. So they don't have proper wingers at the moment. So I think his minutes will be fine. But like you, I'm predicting his goal threat. I don't know what it's going to look like.
I don't think we need to ask Pros about Semenyo.
That guy is not coming in my team. Unless I free hit in Gameweek 3. No, he's good, man. He's good. But I am going to wait and watch. He's too expensive for me to be dabbling. If you're 7 million Foden price, then you're saying, okay, instead of Anderson, go for Semenyo, man. What's the problem? 8.5, you're talking almost, Palmer's Saka price. Like that, you're not really saving anything then. Then I'd rather go Palmer.
22% at the moment. I was just checking ownership.
What?
It's going to be that pain again.
Is it 22%?
22%.
That's good, man. Let people spend money. 8.5 is a lot.
8.5 is a lot.
But he's not a rubbish asset. Like if he braces 1 goal versus we're screwed.
He will.
Yeah.
Especially against his old club, game week 1.
Old club, first game, Bournemouth home high line. My God, they're so chaotic, that defense.
And Pras doesn't own him. Here we go again.
Pras will be fine because actually, in our little bubble, nobody's owning him at the moment. Like nobody in the FPL community is owning him. It's not even like analytics versus grass. Nobody's owning Semenyo at the moment.
Just so you know, Semenyo is the 4th highest scoring midfielder in the game for the first 5 game weeks, expected points.
Yeah.
So it's not like models don't think he'll do well. It's just not value for money.
Yeah. Or it requires you to sell Haaland. Then maybe Semenyo could feature in your draft.
Yeah, but if you're selling Haaland, then you want a free hit 3, then you don't want Semenyo either.
So it's a different thing. Okay. Bumo Cunha, spoiler alert, Bumo's in my draft at the moment. I just think it's a gift in terms of something that's predictable at the moment in this 8 to 7 million price bracket. I like the 8 million price bracket because it's not very far away from the 9.5 million bracket as well. And there are lots of options down to 7.57, 6.5 million as well. So I just like the price bracket, and the first 3 fixtures are good. In fact, I think even the 4th fixture is really good for Mbumo as well because he's our counter-attacking outlet. Does well against big teams like City as well. So I don't mind that as well, which is why he's in my draft, because I just think known quantity, full preseason, might play striker for 30 minutes or 60 minutes in the first 2 weeks as well. So I'm for that because Sesko at the moment hasn't featured in preseason, but he could feature. At the moment, I read a report today that he could be fit in time for the first game against Hull. So yeah.
I was burned by Bumo towards the tail end of last season when he started getting rotated for Ahmad. That's why I'm a bit wary. But of course, the first 2 fixtures are so good. But again, if I'm not going to put in a wild card, right? If I'm carrying Bumo and Bruno and game week 4 when the fixtures start turning, it's a bit of a concern, isn't it?
But it's also just a great price point, right? Like they're easy to turn into any 2 midfielders. Like you're going, if you're using transfers, you're using transfers on these premium spots. And it's just a good price point. Like that's where you're going to spend transfers rather than your 5
Let's
million.
Let's tackle the first part of the argument first, the minutes. How secure are the minutes there? At centre forward and at right wing, just minutes in
I think I'd say his minutes in the first 2 weeks should average at 80.
Because we saw a lot of 78 subs last season.
Yeah, but he's had a full summer off, right? Where Cunha hasn't. So I think if they are going to take people off, and Ahmad hasn't either. So it'll be Ahmad and Cunha that will share. But then Rashford is also coming back late.
But he's
from
amongst
World
our
Cup.
strikers, he's the likeliest to play striker as well.
Is Rashford even
amongst
in the conversation? I completely forgot about
Of
it.
course, he's in the conversation.
yeah, he's getting reintegrated into the squad until we sell him.
That's interesting. I thought he was on the chopping block.
No.
So
But
yeah, Bumo's going to play.
he's more of a
probably
left
up
wing,
top.
right? I
Yeah.
think Rashford is
Yeah,
mostly
yeah.
left, not to the right. So right, Bumo's competition is primarily Ahmad.
Yeah.
And
And
Cunha's
that's
saying
won't
is
be
Rash-
seen till the international break.
so
I feel like
if I
he
can
may get
understand-
some minutes, but
if I understand right, so Bumo's competition is Ahmad and Sesko. Cunha's competition would be Rashford and Dorgo.
Yeah. And Sesko.
Maybe
Cunha
Mount.
can play centre forward too.
Maybe Mount as well. Okay.
Also, just throwing it out there, won't be surprised to see Shea Lacey get some minutes early season as well. He's done well in preseason. A lot of talk, murmurings is he's ready to play a squad role. So those 10-20 minutes of number 10 or either side of the wing, he could play. Irrelevant to FPL, just information.
For draft. By the way, story. A lot of chat has pointed out that I've got Tielemans in the background in a Villa shirt. So the backstory is that my son had 3 of these posters. He's a Villa fan. He had Watkins, Rogers, and Tielemans. So I saw Rogers and Tielemans in the bin, in the recycling bin, and I was like, okay, I can take this. So this now has Yuri Tielemans instead of Aston Villa. Says does not play for Aston Villa anymore for dad. So this is why I was like, fine, I will recycle this.
Love it.
That's lovely.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm the most tempted by Bumo now after talking to you guys, and I have been all preseason. And obviously, I think in terms of the United mids, he's levels above Cunha because of the summer off that you guys mentioned.
But Cunha will also start. The thing is, though, you'll have a slight doubt about Dorgu. Inkling doubt about Dorgu playing left wing as well. So the slight worry.
Don't you guys think Wirtz is better than Mbumo? If
Wirtz
you
is
want to
good.
hold for 5 weeks?
I think United just seem like a more known functional team right now. With Wirtz, again, I'm a bit wary of going with Wirtz, Rogers, Watkins, any of these guys after what happened last season. And even this whole double up right now I've got of Lamens and Shaw is giving me Sells and Murillo vibes.
Yeah. One of my midfield, by the way, plus was Soboslai, Wirtz, Bruno, Bumo, and then a 4.5 million DEFCON midfielder from Hull for bench boost too.
I've got one slot for either Foden or Wirtz in my team.
Yeah.
Whichever
Wirtz is
one I
good.
think looks good.
Yeah.
Let's
discuss Wirtz and Foden. It's a good conversation to have.
Wirtz has been,
Foden I know is a trap.
Is
I
a
know
trap?
now that Foden is a trap. Like, it's not just Maresca rotates a lot. Even if he starts the Community Shield, by game week 3 for the Coventry game, you're not sure if he's starting. Is it Cherky or Foden? So I don't know why I've put Foden, because maybe one of those quotes that Foden is so important. If he plays 90 minutes against Arsenal, scores a goal, Cherky plays another role, and then you start to see some patterns. 7 million is a joke price if he's playing regularly. But I've also actually put him in my draft because I like that price point around 7, because he can go down to 6.5 like Anderson. If you want, you can go up to Wirtz. And Wirtz is somebody who I'm monitoring very closely, because everybody's just defaulted to Szoboszlai very quickly. Whereas the signals with Szoboszlai is he's going to play in the pivot, he might play right back. He's still a good pick. But I think for a short term, if you want to take either Szoboszlai on or another position, I think Wirtz is great, man. Like, first 5 fixtures we've talked about, Liverpool's fixtures are good.
Yeah. And his minutes are way, way more robust than Foden, in my opinion. I agree. It's Foden / Cherky. We don't know who Maresca is going to pick at the moment. It's a shot in the dark. Like, I'd be less worried about Wirtz's minutes over 6 game weeks compared to Foden's.
Agree. And this is going to be alongside Sobo, right? Not instead of.
Of now.
Could be
if
instead
he
of
takes
us
half
as
the
well.
set pieces in the next game, if he takes half the set pieces of Sobo, could be instead as well.
Next preseason game, Sobo and Isak on the pitch. If Isak takes the penalty, Sobo's numbers are going to dive. Not many people are going to go there if he's ruled out on penalties.
I think the injury at right back would be the one that gives me pause on Sobo, because even otherwise, in terms of chance creation, he was the second most creative mid last year.
Because he's playing in the 10.
And also
he's still good.
world class,
Still
right?
good.
He's Szoboszlai. He's a class player. Quality also shines through there as well. Like, even if he's playing deep, he's taking 2 pops from outside the box every preseason game.
he's great. Like there's no doubt about
Yeah.
it. He's probably the best 7 million mid. We're not talking Szoboszlai or Foden. Szoboszlai is better, but we're talking now Wirtz versus Foden, Wirtz versus Szoboszlai in a world where Wirtz took all the corners in the next preseason game and Szoboszlai didn't take the penalty. Like we can have a conversation. Like it's okay. He's not that great. I mean, he's
I agree.
fine. And Wirtz is only 0.5 more.
I agree. And also, like, whoever plays at 10, right, might have more goal scoring chances. Did you see Wirtz's goal yesterday? Because Isak, if you remember his days at Newcastle is off, he does the running the channel thing and then, crossing it towards the center of the box, leaving spaces for the box crashers. And both Wirtz and Szoboszlai are box crashers as well. So,
I mean, I like Wirtz. You remember when we were discussing shout-outs for next season players to have a breakthrough year? Wirtz was the name I put up. Second season, generally, these players do a lot better.
And Clivert under Iraola, that's what you need to think about. Really well.
Yep. Sobol, I think, be more of the Alex Scott role, the occasional box runs.
But he's got routes to points, penalties, set pieces, which Scott didn't have.
And if we don't get any new information, Szoboszlai is a lock. Like I also want to make that clear. We're just saying it shouldn't be like we are sleeping through the pick that everybody has him, so it's fine. I'm just saying Wirtz, just 0.5 more, man. It's nothing.
Yeah. Also, at the FPL Wire, we're not going to sleep through any Liverpool picks. We literally have the best Liverpool analyst in the world coming in the last week before preseason. Shout out to Josh as well, who now has a YouTube channel as well. He'll be here and we'll make sure that we're not sleeping on any Liverpool picks.
Some of the other names I got here, Rodgers. I think with Estevao and Gittins playing so well, and Rodgers might not even start game week 1. So a bit less of a consideration. Gibbs White at 8 million. With those fixtures, I think the Forest guys, I want to have them in a rotation at 8 million. You need to play him every week. Again, had the best season of his life last year. Can he go better this year? Bit of a wait and watch. And there are also some transfer rumors again linking him with Spurs.
Yeah. By the way, 7 million midfielder that could become very popular very, very fast is Gakpo at 7 million.
If they
want him to play striker at Spurs. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're a bit short. In fact, I was discussing this with someone today. They have Solanke. They have Richarlison who wants to leave. They have Tell who can play in that position, but otherwise they're a bit short.
Yeah. Even Liverpool are short, by the way. They don't have wingers at the moment.
They have Rio, right? Rio, and they have a bunch of young guys also.
Yeah, and if they're selling Gap, they'll get Barcola eventually.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anything more to add on midfielders? We'll do forwards later because obviously we need to give some time to our drafts as well. We'll do that on the next pod. Anything else here?
Yeah, done.
Done?
Good to go.
Cool. So before we do our drafts, let's do a plug for our Patreon.
So why don't you tell everybody why they should join our Patreon?
Yep. So for the audio guys, I'll just read out the offer we have here in case you missed it last time. So if you want to try the Discord, just get on there. And this is really the best time of the year to be on there, right? Because discussions are popping and it'll only pick up now as the shield gets closer. To try it for the first month, you get 50% free. So that's only like £3 for the first month. You can cancel it after that. You don't like it, but we are very confident that you will. And with annual membership, you get 3 months free. So effectively works out to only £4.5 per month. Just give it a go, guys. I think you will like it. And ultimately, if you follow our content, we're on there chatting FPL all day. The crowd that watches our podcast is obviously a very hardcore FPL crowd. People you can bounce ideas off, people who are very good managers also. And we want to interact with you guys more. There'll be a lot more live hangouts, live Q&A, and generally just a good space to talk FPL. So you can join by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to patreon.com/the FPL Wire.
I'll just add to that, like, if you're in the mood for a more nuanced conversation, whether it's about FPL, whether it's about shows, fitness, lifestyle, and I just don't think Twitter offers that anymore in terms of conversation. It's just a lot of people shouting and making their point and they're not listening and replying to anybody. If you're in the mood for a conversation, I feel like Discord is a slightly more intimate space for something like that as well. So, if that's what you fancy, I recommend joining.
Yep. Right. Some of our drafts. I'll just enlarge this image up a bit. Russ, you're up first with a bench boost 1 team.
So this is first shout out. This is from the Fantasy Football Hub app. So as LR had mentioned earlier, essentially you go to these 3 buttons that you see at the top right. You click on it and you go to reset team. When you reset your team, it asks you to upload a screenshot, any screenshot you want, and then you can look at it. Once you swipe, you can essentially look at the same team in game week 2, game week 3, however you want. So I really like that feature. I've been doing it
They
a
even
lot.
have this 3 game week expected points sort of view as well, where you can see the 3 fixtures together and you can see what points rating they're offering as well in the 3 fixtures as well, which I think is pretty cool from a viewpoint of view. That app is
Yeah.
great. Just scan the QR code, get your team rated, and join. And make sure you're also just make sure if you're doing it, you're using our QR code or our link, because it really does help us as well. We have certain goals as well, so we'd appreciate it if you support us through that.
Yeah. So I've got Lamens and Kinski. It used to be Verbruggen, but then I discovered Vuskovic. So if Vuskovic becomes minutes issue, then it'll back to Verbruggen. I like the Verbruggen Lamens rotation. It could either be Kinski and Verbruggen, to be honest. So, but roughly that's where I am. Mosquera or Calafiori looks pretty good. Nico Williams, I'm quite keen on from what I've seen so far. Luke Shaw, let's see. It'll be a Man United defender of some sort. And then the 2 DEFCON guys, Vuskovic and Murahimovic, who are at the moment in the team. I can easily, for example, do, if I don't like Vusković's minutes, I can do Lemons back to Verbruggen and then Vuskovic to Guardiola, right? I mean, so that's something on my mind. Then Bruno, Gross, Soboslai are pretty, I mean, they look quite good. I don't think I'll be tinkering much with them unless I learn something new. And then Foden and Gomez are 2 that I can play around with, right? I mean, Foden can come down to Anderson and Gomez can go up to Sangare and I have like DEFCON 2.0 team. Or Foden can go up to Wirtz, Gomez can go down to a 4.5 or somewhere else. These are all within the vicinity of players that I like. So we talked about those prices.
Mohamedovic can turn to Rodon. I just think Rodon is fine, by the way, plus at 4.5 million. He's pretty good for DEFCON as well. So like, if at all you need 0.5, I think that's a good place for you to find it.
So yeah, there's enough places where you can skim some little bit of money. Then attack actually is a little bit more settled because we were looking at Solanke earlier. I think Solanke is now ruled out. If Spurs are looking for a new striker, that means, De Zerbi is not happy with Solanke. So he's out. Jesus I looked at, but Jesus's minutes, I think going forward, I don't know how they will be. His form is great. I don't hate it. But for Forest, I don't know if that's where I will go. Brobby was an option as a striker. But with Brobby, I feel the more Sunderland players you fit, this is why Lefebvre is also not here, the more you're likely to wildcard in game week 4 because their 4 and 5 are actually terrible. So that's why I've settled with Calvert-Lewin, Haaland and João Pedro. And João Pedro is actually quite locked now. People will be surprised to hear this. Because I think João Pedro gives you the flexibility to delay your wildcard. With this structure, I'm always looking to bench João Pedro in game week 3 when he's playing Arsenal. But then when I'm sitting in game week 4, I'm not forced into saying I have to wildcard if Chelsea look good. I can just do Bruno to Palmer and then I can delay my wildcard. Everything in this team is set up so that I don't have to wildcard in 4, but I'm open to wildcarding in 4. That's the thesis with which I'm working.
Working on a similar principle myself.
And I just like the idea, you mentioned delay the wildcard. I think that's just so important. Let's just chat, in general, in terms of what we're thinking in terms of drafts as well. Like, it's so important to not be fixated on a wildcard 4 or wildcard 6. Let's say you've had a good draft. Let's say if you've had a good start, it means a lot of the players that you picked already are doing well. And let's say there are just 1 or 2 players that you want. You're spending 2 transfers and getting those players without. Let's say Mosquera is the DEFCON defender. Let's say Nico Williams is the right 5 million defender to get irrespective of fixtures as well. You don't have to wildcard 4 or 6. Like, there could be an option where you feel like maybe I can extend it 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and maybe there's another play. There's a great fixture change window in game week 14 or something, which we haven't looked at the moment. It's nice to keep your mind open, I reckon,
Exactly. And one of the things, so I see in the chat, there's a comment, do you not think you have too much money on the bench? I think one thing analytics has taught me is that whole idea of put your money in the 11. It has changed. Like, the mindset needs to change a little bit to say, if you have a good squad, and that can be 14 players, doesn't have to be all 15, by the way. If you have a good squad, you can actually, and you work around a good rotation, you can then start to see, in game week 2, I don't want Nico Williams to be playing. He has a tough fixture. Or I don't want Vuskovic to be playing. He's away to Chelsea. But then the other defenders all have a good fixture. And then in game week 3, when somebody else has a bad fixture, then Nico Williams can come back in when Leeds have a bad fixture. So I think of rotation. This is why I keep saying, click on that 3 buttons, swipe right. This is not a Tinder ad. And you basically look at your team in future game weeks.
Also, what really matters if you're planning to do that as well, I think it's important to add context as well. You'll really need to strap your legs from game week 1 to 3, because when Pras is building such a team, he's thinking the big structural change, if it has to come, is going to come in game week 4 when Chelsea have the Hull fixture, when he's targeting the likes of Palmer as well. Now, he's spread around his cash, but by the time game week 4 comes around, he will have finished his bench boost. So what he's going to think is, will he mind going, let's say, Gomez or Mohamrovic to a bottom price defender at that point to upgrade Foden to, let's say, Palmer, for example. He won't mind it. He'll think of a big structural change at that point. But for that, he will need 3 free transfers or 2 of the 3 free transfers to facilitate that as well. So if you're building a squad structure, it's important you're saving your transfers for at least 3 free transfers where you're making these structural targeted changes in your team as per fixtures.
Some of the picks I wanted to ask you about, Russ. Kinski versus Verbruggen, is that because of a rotation later on? Because obviously game week 1, you'd say Verbruggen has a better fixture because you've got Vuskovic there instead.
I have Vuskovic there. I like Verbruggen a lot, and I think I'll end up with Verbruggen somehow. Kinski I put in after his great performance the day before yesterday or yesterday against Chelsea.
Made a few good saves.
So it looks like, it feels like in game week 4 or 5, we'll be like, we just said no to a De Zerbi keeper for 4.5 million. So honestly, after this chat, I'm just tempted to put Kinski and Verbruggen. I think they will be the best value keepers in the game. And forget about
rotation is decent.
Why should I spend 0.5 more? Like, that's where my head is at right now.
Also, just in case you're looking to rotate with Lamens, Brighton have Arsenal in game week 5, where Kinski has Aston Villa at home as well. So if even this rotation works well.
No, both work. Both work. Yeah. What you need for Lamens is somebody who plays a good game week 4 fixture when Lamens is playing Man City. Otherwise, you can just play him the rest of the weeks.
Precisely.
Not tempted by Liverpool defensive coverage?
If Xhaka is fit, he would definitely be here, but he's not fit. And then Kirke is 5.5, not interested. If I had 5.5, I would spend it on Guardiola or I would spend it on Calafiori. So no.
If Kirke is fit, he comes in for Williams, you reckon?
He's 0.5 more.
Yeah.
I like Neco Williams, man.
Sorry. If Jacket comes in, he comes in for Williams, you reckon?
If he's definitely starting, yeah, I'd be tempted to do that.
Or you could just put Lamens down.
Then a lot of things change because then that spot I can play throughout. Then I can even get 0.1 million out of my one of my defenders, because then I can just play Diop for game week 1. Sorry, O'Shea for game week 1, and then my other defenders in Mosquera and Xhaka would play all others. So then I have a million more to spend, and Foden can become something else. So
that's something else. Like sort of a good idea for you. You can go Lamens down to a 4.5 like Verbruggen, like you discussed. You convert. That's finding you 0.5, and if you find 0.5 more million, like you go Mohamrovic down to Rodon, for example, that allows you Foden to Boomo. Just more robust minutes, etc. at all, if you feel like that as well.
Yep, all options.
I like that because I think there are about 4.5 picks, I would say, that are potentially contentious, which I don't like as much, and I think that would be in this Foden. Mohamrovic, I think his minutes are quite like. Vuskovic, I'm not certain, because I think Struijk is a very proven Premier League player. Just easier to reintegrate into the team alongside Dunk. Gomez, again, short term, okay.
I think Dunk will be the one who gets the fall, by the way.
Potential. It could be Busquets. The thing is, they have 4 solid centre-back options. It just seems like a bit of a minefield in that sense. And Vuskovic is 19 years old. You have to keep in mind he's a young, inexperienced guy. One, they're going to have to build for the future, but Mohamrovic, much more established in that sense, right? And Gomez, I like him for game week 1, but beyond that, the minutes, I think, start to get a little bit unpredictable, and I can appreciate that you don't need to play him after in that sense, so it's fine. And Foden, of course, high risk, high reward.
Plus, like, if you could tell Plus, he would remove Foden right now. He's feeling uncomfortable with Foden immediately.
It's one of those price points that I've put there, because if I put Anderson, my soul would be destroyed a little bit, So that's why I've put Foden there.
All right. Yep. And TBD, right? Like we're right now just discussing what 0.5, 0.5 year, and there gets us so much. So it's nice. Yep. But locked in on bench boost 1, likely bench boost 1.
Not likely. I'm 90% plus.
Why is that? Versus 2?
Everything I talked about it. I just don't.
TLDR for somebody who hasn't watched it.
If you can make a draft for game week 2 bench boost, which takes your team forward for future weeks and it looks good, then great, do that. The one team, there's a Brighton triple up in pretty much every draft that I've made, that lets you do the 2 things that I want to achieve, is get bench boost out of the way and take my bench boost optionality longer, is Brighton, because Brighton has a very good fixture. They play Coventry in game week 4. So if I have a triple up from Brighton, I'm not pushed to wildcard in game week 4. That's what I'm trying to do, and that for me is a massive plus. For Brighton, a reliable team, man. Like last season, you remember how good they were. Whether it's Vuskovic, Verbruggen, doesn't matter. Gross, Verbruggen, just two of those guys themselves, for me, take that team longer to game week 5. Then I like Neco Williams, game week 1 bench boost a lot. He has, I think, Leeds or Coventry in game week 5 as well. So
There's commentary in 5.
So right now I've set it up like this. One thing changes, and then I'll start to think about bench boost 2 a lot more. And one or two things change could be like, Bournemouth look absolutely amazing, and Tavernier is the guy on pens. Then I make this team around Bournemouth a lot more.
Yeah.
So what actually it can be changed.
So Zoff and I actually have a little bit of an intermediate. That's why we are so close to deciding and toggling between 1 and 2, because the players that differ between the 2 weeks for us are not 4 players. They're 2 of the bench players, because outside of Brighton, there are 2 or 3 other teams which are decent Premier League teams where not much changes happen, which have decent 3 and 4. So we're not heavily relying on Coventry and Hull only, for example. And the teams that we're talking about: Bournemouth, Premier League team, new manager; Leeds United, again decent 3 and 4, known quantity in terms of what to expect in the future game weeks; and Brentford. Like, I think these are the 3 teams. Even Brentford have a decent 3 and 4 and a decent 1 and 2. If you're looking at a bench boost 2 also, they're playing Leeds United away. So these are the 2 or 3 middle ground sort of teams that could finish anywhere between 8th and 15th, for example. In our view, when we're thinking about that, could help you with a 3 and 4. You don't need to be fixated.
No,
yeah, that's all.
But
I'm not actually telling you. I'm telling people that are making a decision right now watching
for sure. All I'm trying to say is, if everything is equal, if your teams look similar, 1 and 2, then one wins hands down. Because anything can happen in game week 1, and your team can get injured.
Uncertainty.
Right?
Yes, that aspect is underrated of it.
You're the only one game week where you're allowed to play 2 chips is game week 1, because you're on a wild card and you can play a bench boost.
Let's say you're watching this on a Sunday, and let's say Calvert-Lewin plays Sunday. Okay, and you're having him at 5 to 6 points, let's say, starting. On Saturday, after the deadline, news comes that Calvert-Lewin is injured. Now, with a free transfer in game week 2, you can definitely sell Calvert-Lewin. Whereas in game week 1, you have to take the hit on the chin, not get points, and still have to transfer him for game week 2 as well. So there is that sort of a scenario as well.
No, I won't transfer him out. I'll leave him. Because I have a 15 team.
Yeah, but he's also like a 6. Yeah, like that. I'm saying that. So I don't think it's hands down. Like, your carte blanche taking 0 points for him in game week 1. Now, these are obviously low probability scenarios.
Tuesday, I took his points.
Yeah.
What if that happened on Tuesday?
Yeah. I'm just saying that injury is the only primary thing between game week 1 and 2 where I think you're thinking it wins hand down. But at least here you can implement a transfer if news comes. But news can come in between of game week 2 as well. Again, these are low probability scenarios, but I just don't think it's a guaranteed, this is carte blanche for this particular point. That's all.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just value playing it on the same week a lot more. Like on Friday, anything can happen.
But the point Elad is also making, plus you also have knowledge on lineups. For example, those 2 new CB guys, let's say you go in with them. You don't know for sure their stat, but game week 2, at least if you don't know the stats, you can make a transfer. I'm just trying to present both sides of the argument.
You will, but you've used one transfer, right?
Right. But my point is, you could get a 0 point.
If it's a guaranteed 0. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I made a mistake with Vuskovic, for example. He's not starting, and I'm looking to bench boost him in game week 2. But now I know that he's not a starting defender. Is the value of a transfer between 3 to 6 points just for the short term? I don't know.
So hear me out. I hear your point. Hear me out. You are going to use a transfer to fix him, right? And then bench boost, get his points. His expected points are like 4. So you used a transfer, got 4 points out of him. I lost 4 points because he didn't start at all. But I still have one more transfer than you. Yeah. So I will also use it at some point. Now, let's say not in game week 2, in game week 11, when we both again have an injured player, but this time you have 1 free transfer, I have 2. So I will still be able to. It's not that you being able to use a transfer isn't an advantage. Even I will have that transfer.
Yeah, but
you get 4 more points.
Unique scenario where the player doesn't come on for an injured player. That's the only difference.
I hear you. Yeah. But all I'm saying is being able to do it on a Friday, 5 p.m., make a transfer because somebody's saying, oh, there's some risk with Vuskovic, and I change Vuskovic to somebody else. That ability is only in game week 1.
Fair.
Because you have unlimited transfers.
Correct. And this is me probing because I wanted to understand it.
Absolutely. You're presenting both
right.
sides.
You can fix it. For sure you can fix it.
Yeah. Cool. Because I'm literally like 40-60 toggling between the two at the moment. So I really wanted to zero down if there's a bigger advantage. And I actually, the more I think about it, the answer in my head is you need to think harder about which 6 million midfielder you like more, which 5 million defender you like more, and let that dictate your strategy rather than 2 or 3 fringe players.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything more to add here? Move on to my team. It's quite similar. So I'll just go through it a bit quicker. So most of the players there you have similar to press. Now again, BB1, I've got Lamens Mosquera, which is common. I've got Kadioglu there, instead of Vuskovic. I've got Ayer there from Brentford. Midfield similar, bit less. I've spread the Foden money around a little bit, plus instead of Gomez. So I've got Bruno, Lefe, Sobo, Dewsbury Hall, and Gross in midfield. So the cheapest attacker there is 5.5, not 5. The front three are the same. The bench is Verbruggen, Shaw, and Guardiola. So effectively, if you look at the cheapest players, if you look at it in terms of the bench boost, the bench would really be what Ayer, Kadioglu, Gross, and Verbruggen. So triple Brighton and Ayer. And that's it. Quite similar to yours.
One thing I'm realizing is bench boost one people in general have to monitor the form of Aston Villa. Like what are they looking at? Are they looking like a dud team? Are they looking like a good team, etc. as well? Because Arsenal again in game week 2.
I think Brighton actually playing that extra conference game actually might help them be sharper. Because I don't think like playing extra minutes in the around game week 2 or 3 is necessarily a bad thing. It could get Brighton up to match fitness quicker. Now the difference now, if I was to bench boost 2, I would actually keep the identical 11 you see starting, and the bench differences would be Kinski, Tavernier, Rodon, and Thomas, instead of like your Brighton guys and Ayer. So the difference is that's
not a big difference. Pretty equally weighted teams as well in our perception.
Yeah. So I'll do an article tomorrow. I did one already on Patreon about the bench boost 1, comparing bench boost 1 and 2 over the next 5 game weeks. So if you guys want to follow our Patreon, even as a free subscriber, we'll be often posting our musings there throughout the season about our transfer dilemmas and stuff like that. So on the place we have like carte blanche to write how much ever we want. So
yeah. And if you liked what we're doing in general as well, if you like the content we're providing, just help us to get the 50K. We really want to get there before the Game Week 1 deadline as well. So just make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe button, guys.
Yep. So I'm pretty much on the fence, but right now I like BB1 more because I just trust Brighton a lot. I want to have Gross in my team as far as possible. I'm intrigued now how to get Boomo into this setup. Is something I have to investigate a bit more. I'd have to take Dewsbury Hall down a bit and find 0.5 million from it, because I don't want to lose Guardiola. I have a good feeling about him.
The moment you do that, you're thinking about Tab if he emerges, and then you're thinking about BB2. Like
no, what I'm thinking now, what I could possibly get Boomo in, I'll have to take Dewsbury down Hall to a Gomez, so 1.5 there, and then maybe take Ayer down to this guy, Diop. In that sense, because Andy can manage the rotation otherwise. It's the only place I can see. But then seems a lot of downgrades just to get Boomo in. Something to think
TBD.
about. TBD.
Yeah, lots of time to think about. Like we might even just see somebody emerge, etc. So this is my game week 2 bench boost team. What you're seeing is the game week 1 fixtures. Very similar to the guys actually, just different on the fringes. Lamens and Kinski, they rotate well. I've got Rodon, Guardiola, Shaw, Thomas, and Ayer as my defenders. And it's important to have Rodon and Ayer there because they do a decent job of covering 4 and 5. Because with Guardiola, who's there, with Shaw and Thomas, your 4 and 5 is terrible. So looking for decent DEFCON defenders who can play in middling fixtures in 4 and 5. And I'm still trying to find the defenders there. In midfield, I've gone for Wirtz, Bruno Fernandes, Laffy, and Soboslai. This is more of a spread sort of a midfield where I have got for Laffy and Tavernier. So I'll be bench boosting both of them in game week 2, where Tavernier has Everton at home and Laffy has Fulham at home. And then up front, I have Haaland, Calvert-Lewin, and Pedro. Now, this is a lot more spread as a draft, which is in line with process thinking in terms of have a squad. It helps you from making emergency transfers as well, some decent players. Perhaps maybe my 3rd and 4th defender are slightly weak, but I think with DEFCON, because I've tried to make sure that they are sort of DEFCON centre backs, I'm okay with the floor, even if it's a slightly weakish fixture. That's the thinking I have in my head at the moment. And conversely, if I'm trying to congest the funds, there's another draft which you will see, which is the light bench draft, where I've converted Wirtz to Boomo, where I've converted Laffy to Foden, so which is like an aggressive, ultra-aggressive midfield, where I've got Bruno, Boomo, Soboslai, and Foden in midfield. But what that does is then absolutely demolishes my bench. I'm still okay with Van Uyck and Thomas as my bench boost options in game week 2 and Crooks as my midfielder, but then this is where all the money is on the pitch. And if injuries happen, I need to make transfers. But it does have flexibility because all the money is in the front 11 that you see. I'm still debating between the two. And in fact, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a team selection video where I've done this sort of a draft for Bench Boost 2 with Palmer accommodated as well. And you'll see how that works as well. But for this draft to work, I need somebody like a Jacket to be fit for the start of the season because the Liverpool defender can be played between game week 1 and 6 as well. So I'm comfortable playing Guardiola and Jacket every week between 1 and 6. Then it comes down to just finding somebody who's a decent 4.5 million defender who I'm comfortable playing every week. And Leeds sort of fit that criteria for me.
I like the idea that you're maximizing your 11 and game. Ultimately, bench boost, what we're looking to get 10 to 12 points. I think you'll get at least let's say Crooks gets your DEFCON, Thomas gets your DEFCON. I don't think you'll be more than 6 to 8 points off that.
Yeah. So the thinking with this sort of a draft is in game week 4, I don't if things go in the best case scenario, I don't necessarily need to wildcard. Like the price points of Foden, Boomo, Bruno, make the likes of Palmer, Rogers easily accessible. The likes of Jacket makes a 5.5 million Chelsea defender easily accessible as well. If I want to just, instead of, wildcarding in game week 4, spend 2 transfers on Chelsea players in game week 4 and then move forward.
We need Villa to repeat last season, really. That's what M.97 mentions in the chat, because again, we are looking at Villa almost, I think, game week 1, I think, and game week 5 as well to go against them.
Before we go any further, actually one player which deserves due consideration that we haven't discussed is MGW. Fits the bench boost 1 sort of template, has decent fixtures at the start of the season. On penalties, 90-minute talisman, going to be likely playing in the Eze role that we saw under Palace. Why isn't he in more drafts?
I mean, we didn't even spend much time discussing him in midfielders. I just don't think
he's important. He was on your watch list, and I remembered that he's somebody we should just discuss because important player in the game of FPL as well. Just don't know how Glasner's team shapes up and how well they do.
8 million is a lot to pay for that uncertainty right now.
Plus, MGW tempt you at all?
I think it's just trust issues. Like I just don't know how much of it is repeatable what he did last year. So could be very wrong with him. He could have a great season. So it just feels like, one of those picks where you close your eyes and you just hope that you're wrong, or you're right, that he's not as good as 8 million. Because 8 million is a lot of money. This is what I feel about Mbumo Cunha as well. Like, we are not in that world of FPL 5 years ago, where these attacking flair players were getting the right amount of points. If they're on penalties, it changes things a bit, but if they're not, then I'm like, okay, if they score a goal every other game, I can just spend that money more in defense and also get DEFCON every other game, like, for less money. So it's difficult to say that I have full conviction that Morgan Gibbs-White is going to smash it.
Yeah. I actually wanted to address the DEFCON thing also. Like, last year was a league where we definitely saw fewer goals compared to we've seen in the previous years and a large percentage of set piece goals. But the one thing that has changed this season is over half of the league has new managers. So it's very, very likely, and you need to keep our eyes peeled open for that the meta of the league just might change because we've got so many new managers. Like, we could have, last year we didn't have that many teams that we could just, that were like 4-0 final sort of teams. But maybe this year with new managers, etc., that could change where we could see some games where are 3 goals plus. We just have to try reading that meta very, very early in the season and see if actually attackers might come back into vogue as well, because there's just very high manager turnover. So it's very likely that
there's also manager recycling. Like, Glasner is still in the league, it's just a different team. Like, Iraola is still in the league, it's just a different team. So yes, I was thinking along the same lines, and I was like, okay, new managers in new teams is there, but new managers in the Premier League is not as many. I mean, it's still like 9 or 10, but we'll see. Lots to learn for sure.
Yeah, like your tweet about Carrick being the 7th longest serving manager or 8th longest serving manager in the league was one of my favorites in preseason.
Yeah, it's like it was 8th. I almost got community noted for that, but
yeah. By the way, guys, just selfishly, out of the 2 spread versus condensed BB2 drafts, which one do you guys like more?
I don't
I
like
like
the idea.
spread.
I like spread too. I think condensed just gives you very, very thin. One injury and you're
Yeah.
pretty much screwed. One
Yeah.
injury, one rotation, random benching. It's just too thin on the bench. In modern FPL, you can't do that with the 5 free transfers
Yeah.
rule.
I think there might be a middle ground where the condensed one, I downgrade one of Words or Boomo and go down and spread it around a little bit.
Get a gross there that gives you 2 million to spend 1.5
A
million.
little more balance, that's all, yeah.
And again, we spoke about this also, right? You have to adapt your game style to get these root to points, guys. Your KDH, Lefes, gross.
Yeah. And I was looking at the Luffy Tavernier rotation as well. It's very nice.
It's very
for
nice.
my 7th attacker slot between the two, which substantiates a bench.
You'll need to
boost
hide
as well.
Lefe after big 3. Because 4 and 5 is
exactly.
quite horrific because you have City, Arsenal.
When I'm planning my transfers, I'm thinking about, Lefe is down to a 4.5 after I'm done with my bench boost and Palmer comes in for Boomo. If you're thinking about just a transfer, if I could plan.
Absolutely. Speaking of plan, in terms of content for the rest of this week, I will be hosting Raptor. We'll be discussing his draft on Wednesday. LR will be doing a promoted pod and also be presenting his team selection. We'll be back again Monday next week in a similar format. We'll discuss what we've learned over this week in terms of the preseason, in terms of player forms, signings. We'll discuss forwards. I don't think it'll be as much to discuss as we've done in defense and midfield, but hopefully we'll have more information.
Actually, it's a good thing. We didn't talk forwards because I saw all of us have DCL, Joao Pedro and Haaland. I'm sure we won't have DCL, Joao Pedro and Haaland next Monday. So it's good. We'll change it.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, before we move, one extremely non-template guy that might become close to becoming template by the time Game Week 1 deadline comes. Come on, give me your rogue shout.
Nico O'Reilly.
Great one.
I think it's going to be someone from the Shield. I think it'll be someone from the Shield because the Shield is where really people tune in. All you need is to see somebody brace over there, especially since they'll be playing Arsenal.
Yeah. I'll go with Florian Wirtz.
Oh, I was going to say Wirtz, but okay, I'll come up with someone else. You go on.
I said Wirtz. That's it. They just generally could bang another goal assist in 2 preseasons, look robust at this number 10 role for Liverpool.
What about Isak, Pras?
I'm not that much, like 9 million, he needs to do a lot more. Like, not there. Who can I tell you?
Actually, why don't people tell us in the comments in this video who you think is not template right now might become template by the time Game Week 1 comes? I'm actually interested to see what happens. Even this Liverpool defense, Kirkes, do you remember how many assists he got under Raiola in his first season?
6 or 7?
7 assists and 1 goal for Bournemouth, imagine. And he's playing winger right now on that side pretty much. Yeah. But it's FPL 2026 and DEFCON matters.
DEFCON does matter, buddy.
So actually, before you go, sorry. 3 players, tell me if they transfer, what happens? Would you think about Vinicius, Barcola to Liverpool, and Bruno to Arsenal? Any one of them tempt you?
Bruno to Arsenal would not be on my FPL radar at all. I think we can agree on that, all 3 of us.
No, why not?
I mean, this is the role he plays. When you don't know, is he going to be playing alongside Rice? Is he going to be the one letting Rice? Like Rice needs to get more rest, man. Rice can't play the same amount of minutes as he did last season. By the end of it, it was just the momentum and the determination of the title.
What's Bruno's price?
7 million.
Who
could be interested? The new winger that Arsenal signed, the left winger guy. He's in a full-on body.
I was just going to say, if Vinicius Jr. doesn't sign, Solis comes on my radar because he does well. He took corners as well. And he's apparently very good at corners as well. So that adds when you're looking at a team like Arsenal. So,
if Vinny does sign, we have to have a pack that we're always referring to him as Genesius on this pod. I will not have
Can't be mean, man. I mean, obviously, LR will hate him the moment he joins. But
no, I love Vinny. Like, he's one of my favorite players. I love watching him.
LR missed the reference.
I know, I got the
Arsenal
reference.
LR.
But I'm ignoring the reference. Plus, you forgot what? Last season during the Wildcard 2, it was actually Zoff that hates Arsenal, not me.
Yeah,
remember, you were on board with this.
I
think we're erased the second half of the last season.
We're too much into this now. You love Chelsea, you hate Arsenal. Let's stick with this.
No, man, I like Arsenal.
So
yeah,
Alex
I think the answer is nobody for me as well.
Yeah.
They'll need time. They're not from the league.
Yeah. But Vinny is somebody we'll think about immediately. Like
of course.
Vinny's ownership will skyrocket. But then in the pricing, I think they'll have to price him between Bruno and Haaland. I think he will have to be in double digits.
No.
He'll be a forward? He won't be a midfielder?
He has to be a midfielder, but let's say I think at least 11 million
10,
No.
man. That's it.
10 and
for
a
the
half
title.
million
I know.
midfielder.
How can you be so much more expensive than Saka?
Yeah.
Like
Sanchez was 10 and a half
I
million.
mean, because
yeah?
he's an output merchant.
Alexis.
That's why, because Saka's just not as much of an output merchant.
he's not in any team over 10 million, man. Come on.
I think it's
Yeah.
just,
And FPL is pricing them to buy. Like that's what I like.
I
Yeah.
hope so. It'll be interesting. I think you should be at least a bit more than Saka, at least 0.5. Let's say 10 million.
While we're chilling, do you think for your Game Week 1 team, leaks might matter for the Friday night? We might get some team news.
Arsenal, it's rare.
Yeah, but let's say it's leaked that Calafiori starts or shot in the
Oh
tag.
my
Eze
God.
starts.
It'll
Eze
be,
maybe
it'll
not.
be like the
but Calafiori
Bailey
would
Shaw.
just-
It'll be like the Bailey Shaw thing again.
Yeah,
I'd rather just stick with Mosquera.
yeah.
Of course, he's
Imagine if
leagued not to
there's-
start. Then things become
Yeah.
interesting because then when I'll be like, now what do I do?
Yeah. Or somebody like Solis is leaked to start. Achanak, you're thinking, oh no, I think I want to go for him instead of Liffey, this rubbish Sunderland all-round penalty-taking midfielder.
People who play club, by the way, they should know that that's you lock in the team after the deadline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sorry, after the leagues, the
Lineups.
teams are announced. So
Yeah.
something to worry. But otherwise, yeah, all good. Let's save the rest for the next pod.
Yep. 2 hour,
All right,
15
man.
minutes today,
Cheers.
gents. One of our longest
Cheers.
yet.
Just skip one of the movies we recommended and watch this pod instead. Take care, guys.
Okay, guys.
All
We will see you again with the main pod next Monday, but lots more content coming over this week. Remember to hit that bell icon so you get notifications, and remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. We got lots of it coming. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again very soon.